Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm ripping some puppy drafts. It's about 93% full. So trying to get in as many as I can before it fills. Probably will fill, next day or two. Um, we got Aaron Sandy, Yiggity Yo, Tyler, Emo Cowboy, Arf Arf, Best Ball Guy, let's go. Hell yeah, really. So I'm gonna hop right in. I'm doing the 20-second pick clock first. Uh, so I'm just gonna hop right in right now. All right, cool. Filled right away. Uh, all right, awesome. So I got the 5 spot. Uh, doesn't look like anyone made it in with me. All right, that one kind of snap filled. If anyone was trying to get in, that hashtag QBs matter. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, thank you guys for coming out. I'm probably gonna try to rip like maybe 3 of these or so probably today. Um, but yeah, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. Uh, so So at 5, I'm probably looking at CD Lamb mostly. That's kinda where my lean is right now. I like CD Lamb, like, even at 2. Uh, oh, Tyler was good with that. Happy Memorial Day weekend at all. Hey, happy Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, always love having Thad in the chat. Best Paul on call. What's up, brother? Fantasy Football Garage. Hey, what's up, man? Hit the like and sub. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Tyler knows. Don't forget the BBO. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll log in quick. All right, cool. Let me upload my CSV real quick. All right, there we go. Should be good. I might have to. All right, so I got Lamb at 5. Real quick, I'm gonna download my CSV. All right, sorry. I think I had it downloaded, but it was kind of buried in my download, so I'll just grab it real quick. That way, it's all accurate, up to date. All right, cool. There we go. And let me close these. All right, cool. Yeah, should be all up to date now. All good. I have quite a bit of lamb. I have like 18.5% lamb. That's how I knew it was a little bit off. Hartman is so plugged in; he's literally inside the draft board. Yeah, man, you gotta get in the mind of the draft board. You gotta really like galaxy brain and do that. You gotta get in the draft board. He's inside me. Aggressive goon noises. That kid, of course, no homo, just bro shit. Yeah, of course, no homo, no homo. Just classic bro shit right there. Cowboy, happy Memorial weekend. Put something on the grill. Hell yeah, at that. Oh, we grilling, Bubba. Yeah. What you guys got any plans for Memorial Day weekend? You guys cooking anything up? Oh, and I'll switch to the board after this pick. Sorry about that. What up, Putt Daddy? Good to see you in here. Fantasy Football Garage just finished grilling burgers and beers, brats. Want one, Thad? That sounds pretty good, Fantasy Football Garage. I'll take one for sure. So here I'm thinking I'm just gonna grab Jonathan Taylor here. Um, I think him or Bucky. You could even go McBride or Higgins, but I like getting Taylor here. I think he's like the best value on the board. So I think getting him with Lamb feels pretty good, like a pretty good start. The first couple of rounds, I kind of just go with like what's the ADP value. So I don't know. I just kind of go chalky the first couple, and then later rounds I might differentiate a little bit more. Oh, Tyler Pool hang with friends on tap? Nice, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. That's a good Memorial Day. Um, so nothing too odd here. Lad going before London and AJ Brown. Lad going at 14 is a little surprising, but I definitely don't hate that move. I mean, I think you can argue Lad over any of these guys. Other than that, looks pretty normal so far. Still early, obviously. But yeah, I like getting that. Like, I really like grabbing that. Oh, a Monra at 3. I didn't even see that. That's a pretty surprising one. I mean, I don't hate it. I think you can make the argument for any of these receivers that went in the first round to kind of pull them up anywhere, especially maybe if you're trying to get a little bit unique. Especially in the puppy, the contest is about a fill. So I don't really hate that move. And, it's about a fill. So it's not like the ADPs are going to shift too much. Kind of gives you a unique build, different build from like maybe what you would have gotten. Um, but yeah, I really like going with the Lamb and then getting a running back here and then probably a receiver right here. I'm either looking at Garrett Wilson or Rashi Rice. Uh, I'll take the small fall on Garrett Wilson. I view those two pretty close. So I think getting Garrett Wilson there feels pretty good. Uh, Best ball and calling the poolside tap. Oh yeah, yeah. Either that or bring the cooler out. Poolside tap. That's the way to do it. Tad, hell yeah, fantasy football garage. Hold the bush apple though. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was actually looking for those a little bit. I gotta see what Tyler, what all the rage is about. He's been hyping those things up for a while. So if I ever see him, I'm gonna grab him just to see, if all the hate was warranted, or maybe he's right. The kid has good takes sometimes. Strong beard. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah, trying to get there. Hopefully a little bit longer it'll be a real strong beard, but yeah, trying to get there. I can't quite get the BBG like mustache though. I don't quite have that yet, but maybe in time. Maybe in time. Oh, back to the board, sorry. Uh so everything else looks pretty normal here. Pulling up Worthy a little bit, but I don't mind that with the double running back start. I think you really got to grab a wide receiver there. And then, maybe you pull Worthy up just because he has a little bit more upside. I guess Mike Evans is already gone too. And Devontae went a little bit early. So yeah, I guess Worthy there is not too bad. And, he has big upside. I'm not super in on Worthy this year. I'm kind of more in on Rice, but I think Worthy can give you good upside. Second year player in that offense. Oh, double elite QB. Um, I'm not much a fan of doing that, but I mean, it's worth trying. I think they have the same bye week too, so that's kind of interesting to go double elite there with same bye week. But that'll definitely probably be unique. It'll give you like a unique combo. I think it's definitely too much capital like for me to spend at quarterback that early, but it'll be interesting to see how they, like, work it out. I'll kinda keep an eye on that 12 spot, see how they kinda dig out of that double elite QB start. Um, yeah, I started Lamb, Taylor, Garrett Wilson. I feel pretty good with that start. I can kinda go whatever way I want with this next pick. I'm probably looking at I could grab Jaden, get an elite QB. Uh, I think I could also grab Smith and hope that Hurts comes back. I don't hate that idea. Uh, I think I'll actually go with I don't have a ton of Jaden, and the contest getting kinda close, so I'll grab a Jaden here, and then I'll actually switch my tournament to just show the puppy. That way, maybe it's a little more, like, accurate for my exposures. Um, so then I'll actually use the overlay combo tool. So with Jaden, I only have 5 puppy teams with them. So I have 2 with Lamb, and then I only have 1 with Garrett Wilson, and I probably don't have any with Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I don't have any with Jonathan Taylor. So it's a little bit different build for me, especially getting Taylor. And then I have that Lamb Daniels kind of stack. I'll probably aim for Debo in the 6th round in this one. I could try to look at Pickens and get the Dallas double. I'm not really sure if I want to go for the double stack in that since I already have Jaden. Like I know stacking both QBs in a game is kind of debatable. Um, let's see what you guys are saying. Tyler, LOL, no, No Bush for me, just Bush. Hell yeah, that's the way to do it, brother. Um, I'm about up. So I like Kittle here a lot. I like Harvey. I could go okay, Pickens goes. So I think I can grab Kittle here. I think I'll just have to kind of focus on receiver a little bit more in the next couple rounds, but I think I can definitely do it with having Lamb and Wilson to start. I think that definitely gives me enough early capital at it that I can go with the elite, kind of elite tight end and elite QB. I have decent capital at receiver. I'll just have to kind of hammer it a little bit more after this. So let me go back to the board. And then Thad, I'm stacking the elite QBs with week 17 matchups. Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely like that play. So if you get Allen, maybe you go for like you could even pull up Devontae Smith there or something, or maybe you pull up AJ Brown beforehand, and then you get Allen in the third. I definitely like that play. In Lamar, he's super easy to stack the week 17 with Green Bay. That one's probably the easiest one to do it because you have so many Green Bay options with Golden, Reed, Kraft. You can even go late with Wicks or Dobbs. I think that's a really good way to play it. BBG. I think Jaden, when one guy went double elite QB, is a fantastic pick. Yeah, that was kind of a thought too. So Hertz did go a little bit past me because I was kind of thinking about doing Devonta and Hertz. Um, but I think with him going double elite, it makes it just a little bit more valuable in that room. That's definitely a good way to think about it. Tyler agrees with that. Uh, usually especially with week 17 with Lamb. Yeah, because I already have the game stack kind of built out. So I do like grabbing Jaden there. I think with Pickens not coming back, it ended up definitely being a good pick. The only thing I was kind of debating was if I did get Pickens back, then I would want Dak. And I know it's a little bit less advantageous to get both QBs from the same game. Um, so it's a little bit debatable, but I definitely think how it worked out great for that. So let me go back to that and I'll get to Putt Daddy. Um, so I could go Trevion. He'd probably be the top guy on my board, but I think I'll grab Jacoby instead, just to make sure I don't fall too far behind at wide receiver. And there's a couple running backs I like here with Montgomery and Quinshawn, or if Connor Henderson comes back. So I'll grab Jacoby here. And then my receiver room feels pretty solid. I have a solid like starting three, pretty consistent like target earners in their offense. And then Putney, same bye week for those two elite QBs. Yeah, yeah, they're both week 7 buys. So like I don't really think the bully QB, so to speak, is a good strategy in general. But I think especially doing a two guys with a week 7 buy, it really hurts taking a 0 that week, unless you want to grab a third, but then that's way too much capital. So I mean, I really don't like that play with those two. I would probably rather even pull up Jaden, even though I like Lamar and Allen both more than Jaden. I would probably pull up Jaden with one of them if I really wanted to try a build like that. I think that would give you maybe just a better chance to try it where you're not taking a 0 and you can still stop at 2. Because now they're kind of forced to either take a third, like, late and hope they, hit week 7, or you stick with those 2, but you're taking a full 0 and you're already losing points at QB. Just having double elite, only one of those guys can hit your lineup. I don't think it's a super viable strategy in general, but it'll be interesting to see how they kind of work it out. Let's see what they did. So they went 2 receivers, Nico and Thomas, Allen and Lamar, and then Chubb and Ken Walker. Um, I think other than the double elite QB, I mean, that's a fine start. I probably would have leaned either grabbing, Brees or Tet with that pick number 37. But I think now they kind of run the risk of being light at receiver, and then they're going to take a 0 week 7 at QB. Um, so I'll probably I like Golden or Reed. I also like Caleb Johnson. Um, I'm gonna grab Caleb Johnson, I think. I could grab Pollard too. I like Pollard, but I don't have a lot of Caleb Johnson, and I do think he's a pretty good pick where he goes. So I grab Caleb Johnson there. That gives me a little bit of upside maybe later in the season. I kind of have my anchor with Taylor. Probably next couple picks, I'll look mostly at receiver, I think. And then my quarterbacks, I'm kind of looking a little later. I could grab like someone like Fields, maybe stop at 2. that might be a little bit heavy on the capital, but that's kind of what I'm looking at now. I think receiver is probably my next pick. Probably if I can get any of these 3 guys or like Mooney, that would be pretty ideal. If not, I'll probably look at these guys like Downs, Burden, and Mika. I could look at Cup. I'm not a huge fan on him. I'm not a huge fan of the Seattle offense in general. I think Cup kind of has fallen off as a talent, unfortunately. Um, if he's the only guy left, I do consider him, but I think just where he goes, it's probably not the best. It's probably not the best bet, especially with that Seattle offense. I don't really buy into them. Um, so yeah, but I feel pretty good with this start. Like the start to begin, it might be a little bit too much capital away from receiver. Maybe someone like Golden or Reed was the better pick there, but I do feel pretty comfortable having these 3 guys with Lamb, Wilson, and Jacoby. I think that's a solid start to the receiver room, and I think I can kinda hammer it out with volume, and getting Caleb and JT will definitely allow me to stop at 5 running backs. I should be able to stop at 2 QBs also, so I should be able to throw a little bit more volume out of the receiver room, even if I don't quite have that top end talent. And I kinda, like, vary my build, so this one's maybe a little bit less capital at receiver than I would normally do, but I also do some full on, like, 0 wider or 0 RB builds where I'll just, like, hammer receivers the first 5 rounds in a row even, or get, like, 4 receivers, an elite QB or tight end. But, with this build taking detours away from receiver, I think I put enough in that I'm still able to build a solid team around that core. Um JT Best Ball. What's up, bro? Can't stay long, but want to jump in and smash a like. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And obviously a lot of you guys stream. JT Best Ball streams every night around like 7:45 my time. Let me make this pick real quick. So I'm just going Mooney there. I like his value. I think that's a pretty good spot to get him. But yeah, JT Best Ball streams like pretty much every night. Best Ball Guy obviously streams every night. Emo Cowboy streams, I think on Mondays, about 2 in the afternoon on a Fantasy Sanctuary. Yeah, and Best Ball on Call. He has a really good stream setup, does really good quality streams too. But yeah, thank you guys all for stopping by too. I really appreciate that. But yeah, with that pick, um, I really like Mooney there. I think he's a pretty good value. I think Downs could have been in play too. I like Downs quite a bit where he goes. Burden is kind of in play for me. I'm actually kind of buying the dip on him a little bit because I think the talent's still there. And with a soft tissue injury this early, it's not really too big of a concern to me. Um, oh, that's a little bit early for Goff. Oh, but they're the one that pulled up a Monra, so that makes sense. So here I could look at Fields to go with my Garrett Wilson. I don't hate that play, especially with the receiver kinda getting wiped out a little bit. I could also go Cam Scatterboo. Um, I think I'm gonna try the Fields click and just see how that feels at the end. Now that I kinda have I'm definitely stopping at 2 with that. I have 2 QBs with big rushing upside. I'm a real big believer in Fields, so I think that'll be kind of an interesting build, getting 2 QBs, maybe a little bit heavier capital than I would normally spend, but I think I can probably work out of it. Uh, yeah, I think that'll be interesting. I had them stacked up, so I do like getting Fields with Garrett Wilson, and then I can look at like someone like maybe Mason Taylor later, and I could probably stop with just those tight ends or Ertz also. So yeah, I think that gives me some outs, and then I can look at some New England players for the game stack. I kinda like that build a little bit heavier at QB than I would normally go, but I think it can definitely work, and I have 4 receivers I feel pretty good about. Um, Fantasy Football Garage, I'm tempted to take G. Wilson in round 3 knowing Fields is undervalued too. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, because I love grabbing Fields, and I'll grab Fields pretty much the same way, even if I don't have him stacked, but with Garrett Wilson, it kinda makes him a little bit more valuable. I think we were kinda talking about that too, yesterday. Um, I think having Garrett Wilson, that definitely makes Fields feel a little bit more valuable. And I think even without Garrett Wilson, Fields just runs so much. You can just get him and then maybe try to tack on Mason Taylor later, and you feel pretty good with that. I mean, you know, like I mean, I've heard yeah, I've heard BBG say it many times, but Fields rushed for over 1,000 yards as a starter before. His rushing upside is up there with anyone in the league. So, I think you can take him on stack, but I agree that does make Wilson a little more valuable if you're in on Fields. Um, and like I was saying too, it might be a little bit heavy on the capital at quarterback, but I do think with the 4 I got, I can build out of that. And I feel pretty solid with my RB room where I can maybe push RB a little bit. I'm not gonna turn down a good value, but it does give me the possibility to push RB just a little bit more. Um, so here I would look at Shaheed or Kyle Williams. I think I'll grab who am I looking at down here? Probably Bash or Mondre. So I'll grab Kyle Williams. I'll get my game stack all locked up. So now I have both game stacks for week 17. I have CD Lamb with my Washington with Jaden Daniels. Right now I have Jaden Daniels naked, but I'm gonna look at Eckler, Zach Ertz to kind of stack him out a little bit. And then I have Fields with my Garrett Wilson, and then I have Cal Williams for the game stacks. And I feel kind of good. I have my like week 17 already all figured out. That's all set. I just got to get a little bit with Jaden, hopefully, but I don't have to get something with Jaden. He also rushes enough. I think he had like over 800 rushing yards as a rookie, and he missed a game also. But he had, yeah, almost 900 rushing yards as a rookie. So I feel really good. Like having him naked, but I would try to get a stack if I can, but it's not a super priority like a pocket passer or something like that. Um, yeah, I feel pretty good with the team so far. Here I'm probably looking at I could go Ramondre to get even a little bit more of that Jets New England game stack. I could also look at Besh just as, a 6th receiver, kinda maybe a little bit more upside. I do have Jacoby, but I'm probably not gonna grab another QB, so I think I'll lean towards the game stack, get a 3rd RB in here. And then I'll probably look at receiver on my next turn, maybe even a 4th RB. That's probably gonna be my best bets. I could also look at tight end, but I think I wanna wait on tight end a little bit and get someone stacked with one of my QBs. I think that's the better play there. Um hey, Green Bean, what's up? Hey, hey. Thanks for stopping by. Um, but yeah, I'll go over the team real quick too. So right now I have Jaden Daniels, Justin Fields at QB. So feel really solid with that QB room. Maybe a little bit heavy capital, but a great duo at QB. RB, I have Jonathan Taylor, Caleb Johnson, Ramondre Stevenson. Feel pretty good with that. And then at wide receiver, I have CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Williams. At tight end, I have George Kittle. So I feel pretty solid with the team overall. It I think the running backs are pretty good. I have some upside here. I have maybe a guy in Ramondre who can help me in the early season. With if Caleb starts a little slower, maybe Warren has a bigger role early until like Caleb kind of, gets on a little bit more, takes over that backfield a little bit more. And that receiver, I do feel like I'm a little bit light at receiver, but like I was saying earlier, I'm gonna attack that with more volume. I'll probably end with 8 receivers, is kind of how I'm thinking. I'll probably end with only 2 tight ends, 2 QBs, so I could even go, like, 8 or 9 receivers if I stop at 5 running backs. So that kinda gives me some flexibility a little bit later in the draft. The only thing really off my board is quarterback. Even though I coulda got the Vegas double, I don't really think I wanna target Geno. Like, maybe if he fell a ton, I could look at him, but even then, I don't think that's really ideal when I spent so much at quarterback already. Uh Oh, and, real quick, I'm gonna make this pick, and then I'm gonna look at that 12 spot because they had the double elite QB start, so I kinda wanna see how they've been building that out. So here okay, I was looking at Rashad White, but he just went. So, I like Ray Davis here. I think that can be a pretty good pick. The receivers, I don't love any of the receivers. I think Palmer has some spike week upside. But I'll grab Ray Davis, kinda solidify my RB room. That feels pretty good to me. And then, yeah, that feels pretty good getting Ray Davis to kinda solidify the RB room there. He has good contingent value. There's a little bit of holdout worries with James Cook. James Cook also isn't like a 100% snap player or not like a really high snap RB in general. So I think Ray Davis, where he goes, is a pretty good value. He could work in, he plays on a very high scoring offense. So he might hit your lineup a couple weeks if he gets a decent run into the end zone or something, even without a James Cook injury. So I like him where he goes. Um, okay. It's going pretty quick. So I'll make one more pick and then I'll go over that 12 spot, like I was saying. Um, yeah, so here I'm gonna grab Palmer if he's available. That's my plan. Eckler's also coming up. I really want to grab the sixth receiver though right now. And I think Palmer maybe gives me a little bit more upside than the guys who will be remaining, especially with the longer turn. I do like Tillman too. Oh, Eckler goes right before me anyway, so that's fine. So I'll just grab Palmer there. I like Tillman too, but I don't know. I think Palmer and Tillman really debatable players. I think they're both kind of spike week guys. Maybe Tillman has a little more upside. But that Cleveland QB situation is really scary. So I'm gonna go over that 12 spot real quick. They start Nico Thomas, and then they got Allen and Lamar. So both week 7 buys, double elite QB. So then they got Chuba, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift. So 3 straight RBs. I mean, I like that RB room. Chuba, Kenneth Walker, Swift. That feels strong. They got Cup, Bateman. So they got Bateman with their Lamar. They got Cooper Cup. I think he's okay right there. Maybe wouldn't have quite been my pick, but I think he's a fine pick right there. There's nothing wrong with that pick. And then 3 straight tight ends. So Evan Ingram, Dalton Kincaid, Jake Ferguson. Um, they got Kincaid with Allen and they got Bateman with Lamar. I think that's their only stack so far. Yeah, that's their only stack so far. And they didn't do any bringbacks or anything. They don't have any Green Bay or any Philly. Um, I think it's pretty light at receiver overall. They could maybe attack it with some volume, but I think maybe they ignored receiver a little bit too much going with the double elites. I think maybe they should have grabbed a receiver instead of one of these running backs just because they got a little bit behind the 8 ball. And they go Wandale and Romeo Dobbs. That's fine, I guess. I mean, I think that's a little bit is that a little bit early for Dobbs? No, not really. I guess that's close to his ADP. I don't pick much Dobbs, so I wasn't super familiar with his ADP, but I so they have a 2.362 or 2.363. I think maybe like one of those tight end picks or one of those running back picks they should have put at receiver. Obviously, I don't love the double elite QB start just in general, but it's not like they're building it terribly given how they started. I think maybe just they pushed receiver a little bit too much, given like starting with the double elite QBs kind of going away from that. Um, so here I could look at Braylon. I could look at Jalen Knoll or Thielen. Um, I think I don't really have any. I mean, Braylon does stack, but I don't really know if it's like positive correlation to get Braylon on a Fields team. I would probably have grabbed Thielen there. But I'll grab Noel. This is actually a decent chunk after his ADP. So that feels pretty good. And then I have my 7th wide receiver now. So even though maybe it's a little bit lighter as far as like higher end capital, I have a good amount of volume before getting to like the very end. So I feel okay with this receiver room. I have 3 guys who should be the wide receiver 1 on their team with Lamb, Wilson, and Jacoby Myers. And I have Mooney who can maybe give me some spike weeks. And I have like Palmer also kind of more of a spike week player, but then I have Williams and Knoll who are maybe guys who can kind of come on as the season goes along. I think both of them, being young players, being rookies, they could really give me some help as the season goes along. If Braylon's still there, I will grab Braylon, even if maybe the correlation isn't like amazing to get him with Fields. Or actually, okay, yeah, he goes anyway. I'm gonna grab Mason Taylor here. That way I can get my field stack. I probably will just stop at 2 tight ends with that. I could look at tight end in the very last round if I want. So I'm gonna grab Mason Taylor, and then he stacks my field. So I got Fields double stacked. I kind of got locked out on all my Jaden correlation. Um, Maybe I'll look at like a Washington lower end receiver later in the draft, like very last pick. But I'll probably just run naked Jaden, then kind of have my fields more stacked. I think naked Jaden is, like, perfectly viable too. I don't really think you have to stack him with anyone. It's not with as much as he rushes, it's not really a requirement by any means. Um, yeah, so I feel pretty solid with this build overall. I'll go through it quick one more time. I have a 2-4-7-2. So Jaden and Fields feels good with that. Jonathan Taylor, Caleb Johnson, Ramondre Ray Davis. Um, that feels pretty good. I could stop at 5 if I grab another guy. I could also go for the 6th. I think I'm leaning towards a 2-6-8-2 with this build. And then at receiver, I have CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Williams, Josh Palmer, and Jalen Noel. And that tight end, I have Kittle and Mason Taylor. I think Kittle and Mason Taylor, it might be a little bit light with Mason Taylor being a rookie. You're not entirely sure of his role. But I think you can definitely stop at 2 with that, and you just hope Kittle kinda carries your tight end room overall. I think that's a fine play. I could look at a 3rd tight end, but I think I would rather grab 2 more running backs and a receiver. I'm gonna kinda see who I get at running back for my 5th and then kinda decide if I want a 6th. I think I definitely want an 8th receiver on this build, spending kinda lower capital at the position. So I'll go back to the board quick. Oh, and then, that person who grabbed the double elite, so they grab Anthony Richardson there. So, I think that's okay, but I actually do think that's a little bit of a risky click with like, maybe he gives spike weeks that can hit, but you already have so much upside with your top 2 guys. I would rather even look at a guy like Darnold or something who I'm not really in on, just so that they can give you kinda more of that floor play when you're on that double bye week with the 2 elites with having Allen and Lamar. I probably would not lean AR there because you have so much ceiling already built into your lineup, you don't really need an AR. I would rather get, like, more of a floor play, like, if he looked a little earlier, like Ward, Penix, Stafford, or like a Darnold, I believe, Geno or Darnold are both still available. See, I would've maybe looked at one of those guys instead. Um I could look at Geno here. Okay, he goes. I probably wasn't really, like, considering him there, and he goes to the best team. I probably wasn't really considering Geno. It was a little bit of a value, but I think I spent enough capital at quarterback already where it's not really the best idea. I'll take the little fall on Roshan here. That's about 20 picks at ADP value. And then I actually like Roshan this year. He could have good touchdown upside. He might mix in quite a bit with Swift, maybe with the improved offensive line, improved offense as a whole. I could see him having a decent year, even though he hasn't shown a ton. He's been pretty good on the goal line, pretty good at converting touchdowns. So maybe he, hits the end zone a couple times this year, hits your lineup once or twice when you need him. I don't really mind that click as a 5th RB. Uh, so I think I'm leaning towards the 2-6-8-2 though with this build. I'm looking at probably Lloyd or Dobbins here, and I'll grab the receiver in the very last round because I don't think any of these guys at the top really give me too much more than the guys a little bit lower on the list. Um, so okay, I'm kind of hoping to get Marshawn Lloyd here. I have a ton of Marshawn Lloyd, as you can see. I think he's, like, really locked in to be the backup. I'm not really a believer in Emmanuel Wilson. I think with Lloyd too, we really liked him last year. He got good draft capital. He's big, he's really athletic. I think he could have maybe, like, a decent role, and you kinda see him rising up a little bit. Like, when it very first opened, he was kinda on that cusp of, like, undrafted. I think people are kinda realizing, like, he's the most likely backup to Jacobs. Jacobs is a guy who's missed time. He's seen a lot of work in his career. So I think Lloyd on an offense that we think will be pretty good overall. I think he's a really good pick for a 6th running back, kinda give you some upside, some contingent value. And then so last pick, I'm looking at receiver. I could look at tight end real quick. Um, I could grab like a Chig or a Juwan. I don't really have any correlation with either of those guys, so I don't it's okay, but I don't totally love either of those picks. I don't think there's any commanders I'm really looking at. I could grab like a Noah Brown if I want to get like a very small stack with Jaden, but I think I would rather get a player maybe I believe in a little bit more. rather than a skinny stack with Jaden. So I'm probably looking at receiver here. Uh, I could grab well, I already have CeeDee Lamb, so I'm not gonna look at Tolbert for a bring back. I already have a very good bring back. Tutu could give me some spike weeks. AD Mitchell could maybe give me some spike weeks, maybe step up in his second year. Wicks could give me some spike weeks. He's kind of the forgotten man in Green Bay. So, if he has a decent role in Green Bay, he could be a pretty good click here. I think I'm probably looking at one of these four receivers. Probably not Noah Brown. I'm not really into betting on him with Jaden. I don't really think it's worthwhile to grab the third receiver on the team. Um, it's not a bad click necessarily. I just don't feel like he provides you too much. Uh, Fantasy Football Garage. Jaden with CD is one of my favorite versions, even on stacked, like you said. Yeah, yeah, I like that combo because that feels like a really strong Week 17 game stack. And then I think Jaden just runs enough. You don't really need him stacked, and it might not be worth grabbing like a super late guy, even if they do have correlation or stack with your guy. It's like, what's really the odds that Noah Brown's going to hit your lineup when it matters, or hit your lineup at all throughout the season? He's been in the league for a little while. I don't know how much upside he really has. Green Bean agree on A Rich. Putt Daddy, he had Cup, so Darnold for the stack. Oh, right, he did have Cup. So yeah, that would have been a good pick for him. Yeah, Darnold, you should have picked Darnold. I see him on the clock. I'm gonna grab Wicks here, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna grab Wicks. I like his upside a little bit more than those other guys just to kind of have a solid role in Green Bay. Uh, I did see, so yeah, he had Cup for Darnold stack. Yeah, I definitely think you should have leaned Darnold there. Even if you don't totally believe in him, just get kind of more of like a floor guy. And, maybe he has some upside. He was pretty good last year, but get a guy who can stack and maybe play week 7 and give you some points that week. A Rich might be benched that week. Green Bean said, Sinot for when Ertz inevitably goes down. Yeah, but I mean, he didn't really miss time last year. It does I don't hate the Sanat click on a Jaden team where you don't have much correlation. It's just Sanat showed so little. I think it's an okay click. It's a viable click to do, but it's just not a bet that I love, especially having Kittle. I didn't really need a third tight end. Maybe if I didn't have Kittle, if I went a little bit lower at tight end, I probably would have really considered that click. Um, just to, maybe give me a stack. Maybe like you said, Ertz does go down. I think that could be a good play, but I think with Kittle and Taylor, I feel good enough stopping at 2. I'd rather get that 8th receiver, just give me a little bit more upside possibly. I think, Wicks, even though we don't like love Wicks, I think as a community, I think Wicks does have a chance to have a pretty good role in that Green Bay offense. Um, so I'm gonna go through my team real quick and then I'm gonna hop right into another one. And I'll count it down quick too in case any of you guys want to hop in also. So at QB, I got Jaden and Fields. I feel really good with that QB stack. Like that should give me really high floor every week and ceiling from both of them. Both of them have huge rushing upside. I think I feel really good with that QB room. And then Jaden, I don't have any stacks, but I do have the bring back with Lamb. I have Field stacked with Wilson and Mason Taylor. Who Mason Taylor, there's no one really in front of him. That could be a pretty good play on the Jets offense. Um, at RB, I have Jonathan Taylor, Caleb Johnson, Ramondre, game stacked with my Fields, Ray Davis, Roshan Johnson, Marshawn Lloyd. I feel pretty good with that running back room overall. I kind of got Taylor like holding it down. And then Caleb Johnson's kind of a guy. Hopefully, week 1, he has a decent role and he kind of takes over as the season goes on. I think Ramondre kind of helps with Caleb because Ramondre should start with a good role, even though Henderson might come on later. So that him and Caleb kind of go together pretty good, I think. And then I got Davis, Roshan, Marshawn Lloyd. I think all those guys have contingent upside. They play in offenses that I expect to be obviously Buffalo should be really good, and Chicago and Green Bay I expect to be pretty good or improved. So I feel pretty good with this RB room. Maybe just a little bit light, but I think it's a decent enough RB room to get me by. And then at receiver, I have Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Williams, Joshua Palmer, Jalen Nolan, Dontavion Wicks. I feel pretty good with this receiver room, even not spending a ton of capital early on it. I think that I got a good mixture, like, late of upside guys and maybe a little bit of spike weeks with, like, Palmer and Mooney. And Mooney was actually decently consistent too. So I feel pretty good with this. I got Myers as kinda like a target hog type guy. So he kinda gives me that floor, that safety every week, and then some spike week guys and some rookies late to kinda give me that upside maybe later in the season or just week to week. And that tight end, I got Kittle and Taylor. Um, Taylor, like I said before, I have some hopes for just because he doesn't really have anyone in front of him on that Jets roster. And then Kittle should just carry my tight end room though. He should be hitting my lineup hopefully pretty much every week. So I feel pretty good with this team overall. I think it's a little bit more capital, like, away from receiver than I would normally spend, but I think attacking it with volume, it worked out pretty good overall. It's maybe a little bit thin at receiver and not, like, a crazy strong running back room, but at quarterback, it's super strong, and at tight end, I feel good with Kittle. So I think it came out pretty good overall. So just check in. Alright, yeah, so I'm gonna just, hop in another one. I'm gonna do another puppy. I'm trying to rip as many puppies as I can before it fills. I have 34 left, so I'm at about 116 puppies now. So I'll count it down from 10 in case any of you guys want to hop in too. So I'm gonna hop into the 20-second puppy in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, and I'm in waiting for 5 on the 20-second puppy. So yeah, if any of you guys want to hop in, that'd be cool. Happy to draft with any of you guys. Um, all right, so it's waiting. Okay, so we got Green Bean at the 1, Ben Haskell at 3, Al Boogie at 8. Candyman, Fantasy Football Garage, got him at 11. He's gonna be I'm at 12, so he's gonna be locking me down on the corner. Doesn't feel doesn't feel too great having Candyman at 11, but, we'll see. We'll see how we do. We'll see how we do. Hopefully, we're not going for all the same stuff, but, I think we like a lot of the same players, so him locking me down in the corner might not feel too good. But yeah, a lot of you guys got in here, so that'll be cool, and I'll check out kinda all your teams, like, as we're going through it and everything. Just kinda see what you guys are building, how you're thinking about it, all that. But yeah, it should be a pretty fun room. And then I'm at 12, so we'll kinda see what falls there. I pretty much just go close to ADP around there. Maybe I'll try, like, pulling the guy up a little bit, something like that, just kinda see how it goes. Um, okay, so okay, Ben Haskell. Wow, I clicked on the video, heard 8-7, and joined ASAP, barely made it. Alright, awesome, glad you got in the room, man. Uh, Fantasy Football Garage with the devil emoji. He's gonna have me locked down in this corner probably the whole draft. We'll see if I'm able to make it out alive. Putt Daddy, tough crowd in this draft. Yeah, no, for real. This is gonna be a pretty sharp room for a puppy. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if the sniping goes crazy. We'll see how the draft goes. But I'd noticed that Genty at 4. So I think if you really believe in him, it does give you a way to get a little bit unique. Um, I think taking him over Bijan and Gibbs, I just wouldn't personally do that, or especially over Lamb. Like I'm super in on Lamb. I'm actually doing a big Lamb stand in the puppies specifically for this tournament. So I'm at about 18% lamb, which feels pretty good. That's not necessarily like I don't necessarily think like, oh, I'm always going lamb over Jefferson or lamb over all those running backs. But I wanted to try that in this tournament because he is a player I really believe in. So I just kind of wanted to see how that would feel. I really like Dallas's offense this year to bounce back. I think Dak's a good value. A little bit less now they moved up with Pickens. But I actually like Pickens a lot too. So I like trying to get that double quite a bit when I can. Um, all right, so Candyman goes Amon-Ra. So I'll grab McCaffrey here for sure. And then I can't really correlate that in any way. Uh I could go BTJ. I could go with the high T build. I'll go I'll grab BTJ here. That's kind of let's see if I got it in. I'll grab Henry. So let's see like the double anchor. Like I'll go super high T, kinda see how that plays out. That's that's not something I do very often. I actually don't have very much Henry. I'm actually really low on Henry. I have 1% in the puppy specifically. So, getting a little more Henry feels cool. Him and McCaffrey, if they both stay healthy, I mean, that could be a monster duo. So, it'll be kinda interesting to see how I build out of that. I might even look at, like, a hyper fragile if I really like, one of the RBs on that 3-4 turn. I might look into doing, like, a hyper fragile, something like that. Um, so Ben grabbed Saquon, Green Bean grabbed Justin Jefferson 101. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, so, I mean, I think that I think that you can make the argument for Jefferson, Chase, or Lamb at 101. I don't think any of those is necessarily a bad pick. I think the only downside you have to not taking Chase 101 is that you're automatically gonna have lower exposure to him because he very rarely falls past. That's really the only downside you're taking on, but I don't think in a vacuum, like Lamb, Jefferson, Chase, I can see taking any of them. I think that's a completely, like, valid pick. Al Bookie grabbed Gibbs Lad. That one feels pretty good, pretty normal. Gibbs at 8 feels good. Candyman and Monra, Brian Thomas. That's pretty good. Obviously, I pushed the Brian Thomas to him a little bit. So I think that's a great start. Uh, T. Higgins with Saquon for Ben. Yeah, I mean all that seems pretty good so far. Uh, Kind of interested to see what Green Bean does on the term of Jefferson. Um, Bijan at 6, gotta feel nice. Yeah, yeah, no, Bijan falling to 6, I mean, you don't see that too often, so that's a decent value for him at 6 for sure. Uh, Double RB in the land of piss boys, good luck, brother. Yeah, yeah, maybe not the best room to try that out, but I'm getting kinda close to the, like, puppy filling. I do a lot of, like, either 0 or hero RB builds. I don't do a lot of double anchor where I start with 2 RBs, so I think it's just kinda interesting to try. I'm doing a lot of these puppies, so just kinda trying something different. Maybe like you said, though, maybe not the best room to pick to do the double anchor in. It might have been better for, like, an off-stream one, but, we'll see how it works out. I think I might be able to dig myself out of there, but we'll kinda see how that one goes. Um So, okay, green bean goes Jacobs Wilson. Yeah, so pretty good build there. I really like doing that build where you get your receiver in the first round and then you kind of get your hero RB and then you grab another receiver there. Like I think that's a really good build when you're on that front half of the board or like Ben did where you grab your like Saquon then Higgins Hill. Like grabbing your hero and then grabbing two receivers with, your first three picks. I think that's a really good way to do it because especially, like, at the 1-2, just kinda what comes back to you, it feels like Jacobs or Bucky are better picks than any of these receivers, where I think T is kind of the last guy you can debate over those RBs. Um, so here yeah, I did kinda get cooked a little bit at receiver. I'm gonna grab Worthy, even though I don't like Worthy a ton. Um, I could grab an elite QB, go like Josh Allen, and then really try to catch up at receiver. That doesn't feel great, but I could get actually, I'll grab Moore because he goes with my Christian McCaffrey. So, I don't love grabbing Moore at 37. I think kinda him in the middle of the 4th feels better, but I do have Christian McCaffrey, so that stacks up for my week 17. So, that's kinda what was the tiebreaker. I woulda considered Allen there too. I think that obviously you're really pushing at receiver there, but I think you can build out. You just gotta hammer it. Even now, I gotta really probably focus on receiver even with these 2, because 'cause they're both guys who are, like, not super confidence inspiring, even though I think they're okay picks where they go. I really am gonna look at receiver mostly from here. Um, so oh, what's up, Who Hames? What's up, fam, lurk, lurk? Hey, what's up, man? Glad you stopped by. Um But yeah, like I was saying with, the double anchor, I think grabbing 2 receivers there was probably the best call. Josh Allen could have been a good pick too. I looked a little bit at Kyron. I'm not really in on Kyron. I think even going with a hyper fragile, grabbing 3 RBs that early doesn't feel great. Like, if at 5-6, if I really like the RBs there, I might even double tap RB again and then stop at 4 and really throw volume at receiver. It's not a build I've done too much, but I think it can be an interesting play to do, and obviously with everyone else grabbing quite a bit of receiver capital, um, maybe that'll give me some decent receiver values a little bit later. So, I don't hate that idea, um, but I'm probably mostly looking at receiver coming up. Uh, oh, and, I'll actually refresh quick so I can see my combo exposures. I wasn't really looking at that. I'm sure I don't have McCaffrey with Henry. I would be shocked. Yeah, I don't have any McCaffrey with Henry. This is a unique build for me. Um, I might not have McCaffrey with I have one McCaffrey worthy team, and then I don't have any with more either. So this is a really unique build for me actually. Because like I said, I don't usually do a build like this, but I think it could be kind of interesting go double anchor. You know, if both those guys are healthy, I mean that's an absolute killer like at RB to have McCaffrey and Henry. You know, if they both stay healthy, that could be a monster RB room. Um so let's kind of see. I'll kind of look what yeah, I'll kind of look what you guys are doing quick. So Green Bean went Jefferson, Jacobs, Garrett Wilson, RJ Harvey, George Pickens. Um, I like that at the turn. Uh, I think I think picking Harvey there is actually fine. I think him and James Cook is a debate, but I don't really have a problem with taking Harvey at 48. Uh, it is like an interesting build overall. I like Pickens where he goes. I think to me, like him, Ridley, and DK, you can kind of debate any of them, and I think you do have a little bit of a tier break after those three guys go. Jose was still available. Oh, and Al Boogie gets see, I think that's a decent start from Green Bean. Al Boogie he went Gibbs, Ladd, Terry, Lamar, and then got Zay Flowers all the way back. So that's a really solid start from Al Boogie. I really like that start. Um Ben, he went Saquon, T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, Jameson Williams, James Cook. That feels pretty solid overall. I like that. Grabbing your running back and then three receivers. James Cook, you get a little bit of value on. That feels pretty good overall. Um, wow, Kittle at yeah, I'm gonna grab Kittle. I mean, I should probably be focusing more on receiver, but that kind of Kittle value, I love Kittle. I'm not gonna pass him up there. Maybe Candyman was hoping he would push him by me, but I'm just not passing Kittle at that turn. I could grab Rome, get a double. Yeah, I'm actually gonna grab Rome over Olave and get a double stack, since I already have the San Francisco bring back. So I have that game built out really well now. And then I have Kittle and McCaffrey. So that game, like I have that game built out super well. Uh, I think Kittle there, if I would have known Kittle would fall to 60, I would have grabbed a receiver instead of Henry, but I'm never passing up on Kittle at 60. I would rather try to make it work and get that value on Kittle than pass on him just to try to fill my receiver spot more. I think that he's a good value where he goes at ADP, and I think with him falling, that's like a great value. Um, Oh, yeah, so Ben Haskell, I like the build so far. I think you got a little bit of value in James Cook. 3 receivers, you got Saquon, so that feels good. Al Boogie's I really liked, and then let me look at Candyman's. So Amon-Ra, BTJ, Tet McMillan. You knew I wanted Tet McMillan at the turn. That's kind of messed up to take him there. Kyron, Jordan Addison, and then Alvin Kamara. Yeah, I mean, I think that's super solid overall. Um, I think getting Kyron and Kamara, that's like a great, like, kind of modified double anchor, I guess you would call it. But I think those two are really strong picks. I'm not super in on Kyron this year, but I think where he goes, he's a fine pick, especially to mix in. You got him in the fourth round. So with those two, they should be really consistent scorers for you. And then obviously the receiver room's really strong to start. So, yeah, I mean, I think everyone's building pretty good so far. Ben Haskell got Joe Burrow with T. Higgins in the sixth, so that feels great. Getting Burrow at pick 70, get him stacked up. Yeah, I mean, I really like that start. And then pushing Burrow, no one took him, so getting him at 70, that seems like great value for him. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think all you guys are building really solid starts. Al Boogie grabbed Olave, so going real hero RB, but he's got the elite QB there stacked up. That feels really solid. Candyman feels really solid. Uh, Green being kind of alternating the picks. So you got Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Darnell Mooney at receiver, and then you got Jacobs, Harvey, Montgomery at running back. I think that feels really strong overall. I think it's good enough capital at receiver there that you can afford to get like 3 RBs, and then your RB room should be super solid. Maybe like Jacob should be kind of your bell cow, kind of your top guy. But then Montgomery too. I mean, he's really solid value where he goes, I think. And he might help too, kind of ease in Harvey if Harvey starts out a little slow, like as a rookie. Sean Payton likes to do a little bit of a committee. So Montgomery can really get you through those first couple weeks while you're waiting for Harvey to maybe ramp up a little, or maybe Harvey just hits right away. But even if he doesn't, you got Montgomery now to kind of hold it down. And then once Harvey does get ramped up, you should have 3 RBs where like the third one can hit your flex very consistently. So, yeah, I mean, I think solid builds all around from everyone. Uh, I'll go back to my team really quick. So I got McCaffrey, Henry, so double anchor. And then I got Worthy, DJ Moore, Rome, and Kittle. So I'm making a huge bet on that Chicago SF game. Obviously, my receivers are really tied to Chicago. And then I got Kittle and McCaffrey at SF. So I could look at Purdy also if I get locked out on Caleb. I like that start quite a bit. And then at QB, so I'll probably look at QB with my next picks and see if I can get Caleb or Purdy, but we'll kind of see. Like, if I get locked out, it could kind of hurt, but I really think I can afford to. I think pulling up Caleb could be okay here, but I think with how I allocated capital, I can't really afford to do that in this build. I really need to get some receiver help. So I'm going to grab Ayuk. And then I actually think I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. I could grab Burden and get it triple stacked, but I think overdoing your stack like that, it can be a little bit detrimental. Like I have a ton of SF now too. But I'm actually gonna grab Downs because I think he's more a consistent like target getter. I think he's week 11 by. Yeah. So that gives me kind of different bye weeks. Maybe Ayuk is kind of back playing by then, hopefully. So I think that can be an okay build. I really have a huge bet on SF and Chicago. Um, I think Downs there too. Even though I pulled him up a little, I think he's going to be a consistent target earner in that offense. So I think it gives me good floor, even though I didn't spend a ton of capital at receiver. It's kind of weird. I'm doing like usually I'm pretty big on taking receivers pretty early. Like if you saw my if you saw like me and Candyman around last night, I think we did a ton of like zero RB and stuff or like waited on RB. But I'm kind of getting a little bit different in these ones. Kind of near the end of the puppy. I mean, I've done so many puppy teams now. Like it's interesting to try out different builds, and this is kind of the spot where I'd want to do it is like in the puppy kind of at 12, like I don't know, I like trying out different builds here and there, kinda see how they perform throughout the year. Um oh, sorry, I was missing the chat for a while, sorry about that, guys. Uh, Ben Haskell, James Cook gets shot? No, no, he just people don't like him 'cause he didn't play a ton of snaps, but I mean, I think he could be a good value. Sean Mitchell, what's good, Heart? Hey, what's good, man? Good seeing you in here. Thanks for stopping by. Al Boogie. Oh, this is why all you mofos are in my room. Thanks, Hartman. Hey, Al Boogie, you're getting a great team. I mean, you should be happy if anything. Maybe these guys are a little bit Zay Flower haters. You're getting great value. Uh, Happy Fun Day Sunday. Yep. Sean Mitchell, don't give Al Boogie any credit. It was the sauce picking. Yeah, there you go. Uh, Ben Haskell, what up, Al Boogs? Uh, Al Boogie, I'm cooking this room, Sean, stop hating. Yeah, no, hey, I don't like giving Al Boogie his props as much as the next guy, but Al Boogie is cooking. Like I gotta give him that. Getting Zay Flowers back with his Lamar, like that feels great. And I think going with the Hero RB, got Pollard too. I really like Pollard where he goes. Pollard and Jameer, that feels like a solid starting two. Got Zay Flowers back, decent value on Olave. Like, yeah, no, I mean I really like that team so far. What's up, Ben from Al Boogie? Candyman, I did try to push him, needed Addison, thought you might take a receiver. Yeah, no, I kind of figured you were doing that, but I am not letting Kittle pass on at 60. There's no chance I'm letting him pass. Albug's cooking. Yeah, he's cooking. I hate the person who forced me to take Olave. Yeah, I was thinking about taking Olave, so sorry about that one. Got you on that one. Uh, Ben Haskell split frame is not cooking. I'll check out his team in just a second. Let me just finish catching up. Ben Haskell, second Burrow stacked in 70s of the day for me. Wow, nice. Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, I think if you push him, especially when you got T, you have a pretty good chance of getting them back. Lamar Rose at 56 is sick. Yeah, that's a really great value to get him stacked. Kittle at 60 is sick. Yeah, no, and I almost took Kittle at 51. Yeah, I take Kittle a lot, like right at ADP. I really like the pick where he goes. So I think getting him back like that, even though on the build maybe a tight end is not optimal there, I'm just not passing on Kittle at 60. I'll try to build around it. Um, all right, so Caleb did go. So I definitely got to grab Purdy here. Um, okay, so I'm grabbing Purdy. So I got him all stacked up. I have the huge bring back on that game. And then let me see. So Mahomes is obviously gone. I could grab Fields here. I could grab Shaheed here. I'm gonna grab Shaheed because I really do think I need some more volume at receiver. I really like the Fields click, and I think he could be okay, but I really want to get some volume at receiver down. I think Shaheed's worth it on this build to maybe get a spike week guy who can hit my lineup. I really need to put in more volume at that position. Um, Chris, this is why you picked me for best ball DFS. Yeah, Al Boogie only $6,700. So, great value on Al Boogie. Look at the teams he's building. That's a great value in the DFS. Ben Haskell, that's 1,200 more than me. Come by me, y'all. I'm on sale. Yeah, I mean Ben Haskell, he's getting Burrow in the 70s stacked with his Bengals. That's I mean, there's a lot of values in the best ball the best ball DFS. Me, I'm not a value. I'm 7,400, not a value at all. Overpriced. Don't play. Avoid at all costs. Mr. Grapefruit. I'm surprised Underdog doesn't do an old school standard tournament. Um, what do you mean by that exactly? I guess I don't totally understand old school standard tournament. Explain that if you could. I'll check it out. Um, Ben Haskell, I haven't set a lineup yet, but you're definitely on my radar, Bugs. Yeah, I mean, Bugs, he's showing out in this room. So, Ben, Sean Mitchell, you gotta take those shots and feel 205K, especially this late in the contest. Yeah, I definitely agree, and kinda like I said, like, I've done 116 puppies, so I'm willing to go a little bit weirder with my builds and stuff now, like, I've built a lot of teams just kinda how I normally build, like, hero RB, 0 RB, so I'm kinda willing to get a little bit more weird with my builds now, just kinda see what happens, try it out, you never know what's gonna be the best way to approach it. Uh Al Boogie Sean, I'm definitely sauced up. There you go, celebrating Memorial Day weekend the right way. LOL. Uh, Fantasy Football Garage, about to pour myself a Woodford Old Fashioned. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, the Woodford's good, and, Old Fashioned, yeah, I mean, that's probably the best, like, mixed drink to make with whiskey, so, yeah, sounds good, man. Uh Putt Daddy, was that an unstacked Caleb snipe? Let's look real quick. I'm not sure if he had yeah, I think so. He had Swift. I mean, I guess you could call that a stack. We'll see if yeah, he didn't even get Loveland on the way back. That's pretty surprising. I mean, he had Kelsey, but y yeah, like, I think if you got Swift and then you grabbed Loveland, that would be okay, but yeah, pretty surprising to grab him with just Swift. He didn't really get any value. It's not like Caleb really fell. That was right at ADP. Oh, and Ben said earlier split frame is not cooking. So let's look at split frame's whole team real quick. So Nico at 7, AJ Brown at 18. Those are fine. Brees Hall at 31 is fine, a little early. Kenneth Walker at 42 is really early. I really don't get that one. Jalen Waddle, Swift. Then Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, Caleb Williams, and Najee. So he only has Nico, AJ Brown, and Jalen Waddle. So really light at receiver, even though those top two are strong. And then Brees, Kenneth, Swift really early too. I guess I didn't even, yeah, 66. So yeah, Brees, Kenneth, and Swift. Kenneth and Swift both really early. Brees a little early. Uh, grab Mahomes and Kelsey, which is a fine stack, I guess. But Caleb with just a running back, I really don't like that one. And then Najee and Hollywood to stack with his Mahomes. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really thin at receiver, really bad values at running back. Um, it's not like a dead team. I mean, he's building okay. It's just like not getting any real values, kind of pulling guys up all over the board, and then like not great stacking or anything. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the build itself is terrible, but the correlation and the stacking is not there. So I'm really not too big a fan of that build. Uh, Oh, non-PPR standard, Mr. Grapefruit. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I kinda wish there was a site like that too. My home league is actually non-PPR standard. Um, it is cool. I think the thing is in these bigger field contests, non-PPR adds a lot of, like, variance. So I think they try to shy away from that a little. So I'm gonna grab Tyjae here as a 3rd RB. I think it's time to look at that. And receiver kinda got wiped out. So I'll probably hold off on receiver for now. Um, at QB, I'm probably looking at kind of punting it. I don't really have too many options here at QB, unless I wanted to try to backstack, but I'm actually gonna grab David and Joku here, I think. I'm looking at Njoku or Kraft, and I can stop at 2, so that gives me room to put more volume in. Um And I'll kinda look at QB a little bit later because I do have Shaheed, so I could look at Show very late, and I have some Indy, so I could look at, like, A Rich or Dimes really late. That could be okay. I don't love those clicks, but it could be okay on this team. Um, okay, so I'll get back to you guys, or let me pull up the board, and I'll get back to you guys real quick, try to catch up. Uh Where was I? Oh yeah, non-PPR standard. Yeah, that's what my home league is. I think it just gives too much variance in this tournament format. I think that's maybe why it's not so common, but it would be cool if they did it for like a contest or something. You know, it'd be interesting to see how people build. Like you'd kind of see the running backs fly off the board. It would be interesting for a tournament, definitely. Love Woodford, Chris. Yeah, Woodford's really good stuff. Um, Ben Haskell, maybe the best values in ownership instead of salary. So you could be a nice leverage piece, Hartman. Yeah, don't tell him that, Ben. That's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm like negging my price tag, like, oh, bad value, all that. Like I'm hammering myself, obviously. So that's like when I win, I'm low owned. So don't tell people that. Uh Mr. Grapefruit, RB would be worth more basically high. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I think they would fly off the board in the early couple rounds. Um, Sean Mitchell. I do wonder what I would have been priced in the contest. I won't even get close to maxing though. Would be interesting to know though. I mean, if you want, you can just put yourself in and say you'll be maxing, and then just like you could put out on your Twitter that like, oh, I'm not maxing, but like you could do it and see what the algorithm price you at. I mean, you know, it's not like it's a big deal. It's a free contest. So if you want to, you could try it out, see what they price you at. Might be kind of interesting. It's fun to see, definitely. Al Boogie scooping up in here. Sean, take notes. There you go. There you go. Al Boogie knows. What was it? Al Boogie's at 11th place or 13th place BBM finisher last year. I mean, I know you did really well last year in BBM. Um, Ben Haskell, right? It's not dead, just bad process in my opinion. Oh yeah, with the what's his name? Split frame. Yeah. I agree. It's not dead. It's not like the worst build, but pulling up all those guys and not really like correlating too well, it's just not a good bet overall. Um Al Boogie Sean, you'd be priced under gritty for sure. Al Boogie 4,900. I believe the bottom is 5,000, so quite the diss from Al Boogie. Ben Haskell, Al Boogie's cleaning up on us. Damn. I'll look at his team in just a second. Al Boogie bench. Let Hartman keep distracting the room. No, we're gonna put a spotlight on Al Boogie real quick. See what he's been cooking. I haven't looked at him in a couple rounds. Sean Mitchell, good point. Oh yeah, yeah. You can just throw yourself in there. I mean, it's a free contest. It's not like just for fun. So I don't know. Yeah, throw yourself in. Just say you're gonna max, and then see what they price you at. So it's kind of interesting. Then you can even put it as part of your Twitter name, like Underzet did. Sean Mitchell, Boog is learning porcelain tonight. Oh yeah, yeah. Don't go too hard, Boog, or else you'll be learning that porcelain. Uh All right, so let's see what Al Boogie said he was cooking. Let's see what he's cooking. So he has. I'll pull up his team when my picks up. I'll just queue up my guys quick, and that way I can actually just look over it. So I'm gonna grab. I'll grab Tank here. I think he's a good value. But let's look at Al Boogie's team real quick. So he has Lamar and Herbert. Definitely solid QB duo. Gibbs, Pollard, Charbonnet, Rashad White. That feels pretty solid at running back. And I think with Pollard and Gibbs, you got a solid two. Charbonnet and White, they should give you some weeks and give you good contingent value. Ladd stacked up with Herbert, Zay with Lamar. Got Terry, Olave, Higgins, Marvin Mims. Let me make my pick quick. I am going to grab. I'll grab. I'll actually grab Tillman if I get it in. Yeah, I'll grab Tillman here. That feels good. Um, Yeah, so pretty solid wide receiver from Al Boogie, and then Mark Andrews with Lamar feels pretty solid. So, yeah, I mean, solid squad overall, Al Boogie. You're got some good stacks, got some good values. You got Jaden Higgins come back with your LAC. So yeah, it looks pretty good to me so far. Um, oh, and kind of just at that turn real quick. So I did get a little bit more Cleveland. I don't really know if I'll look at their quarterbacks, but I think like Bigsy's a good value where he goes. I think Tillman's a decent value where he goes. I could have looked at Adam Thielen. Candyman grabbed Bryce Young before the turn, which was probably smart because I would have looked at like backstacking him real quick. Because even with Thielen gone, I could have grabbed like Coker. Or I think Leggette's still on the board. So yeah, I might have looked at like a Leggett Young double tap. I was kind of looking at that. So smart move. See, can't that was what I was talking about before with Candyman's kind of got me locked on the turn, right? Like he didn't take Goff here because he knew I wouldn't. Didn't take Lawrence here because he knew I wouldn't. I was looking at running back, so he grabs the blue value. That's the real downside of having a sharp drafter, like right on the spot before you on the turn. Um, let me just catch up, make sure I'm all caught up. Uh, LOL Boogie, Ben Haskell, I put in my name too. Yeah, what they price you at, Ben? I think it was I I don't wanna offend you by accident. I think your price was like 5,700 is what I'm thinking, but, correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, Fantasy Football Garage, this room is very minus EV, too many bros. Ben Haskell's 5,500. Good value, right? I mean, this guy's getting Burrow in the 70s, so you can't beat value like that. Uh, so let's see, Candyman instead is minus EV. Let's see what he's been cooking up so far. Amon-Ra, BTJ, Tet. Oh, right, you had Tet too. So yeah, Young makes total sense for you. Kyron, Jordan Addison, Alvin Kamara, TJ Hawk, Khalil Shakir, Cam Scattaboo. So you got Amon-Ra, BTJ, Tet, Jordan Addison, Khalil Shakir, and Thielen at receiver. That feels pretty solid. And then you got Kyron, Kamara, Cam Scattaboo, Jadon Blue at running back. That feels pretty good overall, I think. I mean, Kyron and Kamara should be really good to start. And then you got Cam Scatterbo to kind of come on a little bit later. Jaden Blue, upside swing. So I like that. You got Goff with your Amon Ra. I think that's your only Detroit piece. You got the bring back with Addison too. Um, you got T-Law with BTJ, obviously. And then you got Young with Adam Thielen and Tet McMillan. So yeah, I mean, I think you're doing really good in this one. You got all your guys stacked up. You got double bringbacks. You have Hawkinson too with your Amon-Ra Goff stack. So yeah, I mean, I think that feels really good overall so far. Yeah, I like that team so far. I'll look at Ben Haskell and Green Bean's team after this turn too, kind of see what they're cooking. Oh, Boogie, this room great for me. Yeah, yeah, no, it worked out pretty good for you. You played the board the right way, and got some decent falling values and everything. So that worked out pretty good for Al Boogie. I think Candyman's team looked pretty good so far too. And I'm gonna see what Green Bean and Ben were cooking right after this turn. So we'll see how they're doing in this room. Um, so I am super locked out at QB. I could grab like a Darnold backstack. Um, I'm the one really feeling the pain of this room, definitely. I'm gonna grab Darnold. I really don't like Sam Darnold at 0.9%. But I'll grab him and then maybe look at like Torrey Horton or something last round, I guess. This one is getting away from me a little bit for sure. I like Jalen right here. He's fine. Uh, I don't really have anything correlation wise, so I'll just grab Jalen Wright. Decent value. I'll probably stop at 5 RBs with this, even though my last three guys are really just contingent guys. I just really want that double anchor to really be hitting like every week except the buys. So I feel okay stopping at 5 with this, even though these three guys are pretty weak. The double anchor, I'm relying on that. I spent my first two picks, 12 and 13 on those. I'm really just gonna say those guys are those guys are hitting my lineup every single week. They're great bets. They're both round one RB level talents. So I feel good with that. So I'll look at Ben's team quick and then I'll look at what Green Bean's cooking. Um, uh, Oh, Sean Mitchell, Jalen Wright, Hive stand up. Yeah, no, I really like Jalen Wright too. I think there was a little bit of concern just with like Ollie Gordon, but it seems like I don't know, the coach speak on Ollie Gordon hasn't really been there, and he didn't really, do much last year in college, went super late in the draft. So I definitely can see buying in on Jalen Wright. I had a ton of him pre-draft, and I think I have an average amount now, maybe just a little bit underexposed, but I'll probably get more of him as the summer goes. But okay, so Ben Haskell. So you got Saquon, James Cook, Travis Etienne, and Eckler at RB. I think that's all right because Saquon, he's like the super smash, right? You're saying he's the RB1 all year. James Cook, you got a good value on him. He should be pretty good in that Buffalo offense. He just has a little bit of like holdout concerns, but I think that's definitely solid. ETN has some upside where he goes. He could take over that backfield. Eckler, I think, is a really good value. And then you grab Lloyd. I really like Lloyd. I have a ton of Lloyd. So I think that's a solid RB room that you got. And then you got T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, Jameson Williams. You have Burrow with Higgins, obviously. Jerry Judy, Luther Burden, and Jack Besh. So I think at wide receiver, yeah, your wide receiver room's really solid too. So I think solid RB, solid at receiver. Um, you got Janu and Goddard at tight end, and then you grabbed Tua. You have Tyreek, right? So Tyreek and Janu with Tua, and then you grabbed AR. Um, I don't think you got anyone with AR, but I mean, he's a spike week guy, and especially think since your first two guys were kind of more pocket passers, it's good to get a rushing guy, kind of give you that more like upside swing, even if you don't stack him, or you could stack. Yeah, okay, Adonai Mitchell. I was just kind of thinking that too. Like if you grab like 80 Mitchell late, right? So now you do have a stack with A Rich too. So yeah, I really think I really like this team overall. All teams look pretty solid so far, and then let's check out Green Beans team real quick. I'm gonna get a drink real quick, and then I'll check out Green Beans. Oh, sorry. Uh, thought about Otten, but Henry value is too good. Uh, thought about Otten, but Henry value is too good. Oh, Hunter Henry. Oh yeah, 185. Yeah. No, I would definitely go Henry over Otten, so I like that pick. Um, Green Bean or Who Aim's here. Oh, nice. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll make these picks quick and then I'll look at Green Bean's team. Or yes, I'll probably just review all the teams. So I'll uh I'll go over mine quick and then right when the draft ends, I'll go over Green Beans first and then I'll go over the rest of mine. So or I'll go over the rest of the teams. I mean, so I could grab Coker for like a bring back. QB is Tyler Shook. Okay, so I'm gonna grab Shook first, and then I'm gonna look and see. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's Coker. I forgot. I think I have my position limit set at 2 QB. So it was Coker. I was gonna see maybe I was looking at like Torrey Horton, but I like Coker, and as a bring back, that's okay. I have a naked Sam Darnold, which I don't love, but I needed some floor just in case. And then Shook, I like him as an upside pick. I did have Rashid Shaheed. That feels okay. Uh, I got maybe a little bit cooked in this room to be honest. You guys kind of locked me down on the corner. So not the worst team I've built, but I don't love this team by any means. So I got Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Tyler Shook at QB. It's fine. It's a little bit light. Darnold on stack never feels good, but I think just with how the board fell, it was okay to grab him there. Don't love that pick, but just gives me some more floor. Maybe kind of helps me advance. and then hopefully my top guys like McCaffrey and Henry are hitting like in those later weeks. Um, so then at RB, I got McCaffrey, Henry, Tajay, Tank Bigsby, Jalen Wright. I feel pretty good with that. Like I was saying before, my top two guys, bet on them. They're super smashes. They're hitting all year. Feels okay with that. Tajay goes with my Saints. And then I feel okay having contingent guys just behind that. Hopefully they kind of fill in on bye weeks. Maybe one of them hits. So that feels good at RB for me. At receiver, so I got Worthy, DJ Moore, Rome, Brandon Ayuk, Josh Downs, Rashid Shaheed, Tillman Coker. So kind of like I was saying, I threw volume at it. I feel pretty good actually with the receiver room as a whole. I've made a huge bet on that Chicago SF game. It would have been nice to get Caleb back. That was kind of my hope, but I did try to push him just a little bit after ADP. Um, but I feel good with his receiver room overall. I think I threw enough volume at it kind of in that mid range, like that 37 to 109, where I feel good with it, even if I went double anchor to start and grabbed Kittle, right? So I have Kittle and Njoku. That feels great to me at tight end. Love that tight end room. And that receiver, I feel okay. Running back, I feel good. Quarterback, I don't feel great with. And I didn't get great stacks. I just really built out that SF Chicago, which that does feel good. I have a really good San Francisco stack. I have Ayuk, Kittle, and McCaffrey. So at least my main stack feels really, really strong. But the rest of the team, or like the rest of the correlation, like getting Darnold and Shook, that feels pretty weak, but it could work out. It feels okay overall. Not my best work, but I think you guys kind of sharp room kind of locked me down on the turn. And I am gonna do one more after this, definitely. So I'll just go over the teams real quick and then I'm gonna hop in another. Um so let me see. Oh yeah, okay. Ben Haskell, what up, Who Hames? Thank you for the review, Hartman. I think we all did pretty well. We're all going to be fighting for second place behind Bugs. Yeah, no, Al Boogie's team came out real nice. I think a lot of teams came out nice. So I think probably out of all of us that were in here, I mean, my team's probably the weakest. So I think you guys all did pretty good. My team came out okay, but I think the correlation was pretty weak overall. Didn't really get the QBs fall like I wanted. Um, Al Boogie, everyone jump right back into another draft, please. Uh all right, I'll try to review them really quick. Maybe once I get through 1 or 2, I'll start the draft and then I'll jump back to the reviews. So I'll get in another draft in like probably like 3 minutes or so. Who am drafting again? Are you done? So I'm gonna do one more definitely. Al Boogie, a lot of good teams in here. Sean Mitchell, silly strong room. Yeah, no, I felt the pain from that one. Uh, Al Boogie, Sean, you need me on ASAP so you can become profitable this year. That's not a bad plan. I mean, Al Boogie, hey, if you ever want to come on this stream, you're more than welcome, brother. Just let me know. Hit me up in the DM if you ever want to come on. Sean Mitchell side. Al Boogie, LOL. Al Boogie, nah, take your time, Hartman. Okay, I mean, I'll try to hop in pretty quick, and then I'm gonna review them all. But after I review like Green Bean and Ben Haskell, I'll jump in and then finish reviewing with Al Boogie and Candyman while that one's like starting. So I'll do that. That'll make it a little bit quicker. So Green Bean, you got Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy. That feels pretty good. You reached up on JJ McCarthy. Oh, but you had Jefferson, so that feels fine. That's fine to reach up and grab him there. Um, okay, so you got Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy. That feels pretty good at QB. I think you definitely can stop at 2 with those. You could have looked at a third if you had something stacked, but I think stopping at 2 is completely fine with those two. Uh, you had Josh Jacobs, RJ Harvey with your Knicks, obviously. And then you had Dave Montgomery, Ray Davis, Will Shipley, Brashard Smith. That feels pretty good at RB. You got the bringbacks with your Minnesota. You got the Brashard Smith bringback with your Denver. I really like that RB room. I think that's a solid way to build it. You got your 3 guys who should be pretty consistent. Harvey might start just a little bit slow, but you have Montgomery and Jacobs to help with that. So that feels really good at RB. At receiver, you got Justin Jefferson stacked up and Pat Bryant stacked up. But then you got Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Mooney, Rashad Bateman, Pat Bryant, De'Ami Brown. Um, that feels like a really solid wide receiver room too. I like that overall. I think because you spent enough capital early, and you have a really strong RB room. So I think that this receiver room mixed with that does look really good. I like the receiver room. Then you got Ingram stacked too. So you got Denver all stacked up. You just have Jefferson with McCarthy, but that's all you really need with McCarthy. And you got Ingram, Kraft, Otten at tight end. That feels strong to me. So yeah, I mean, I really like this team overall. I think receivers probably your lightest spot, but I think you have such strength at running back and tight end that you can afford it, and you do have the correlation. And receiver doesn't really feel weak. It's probably just the softest part of this team, but it feels solid overall. I really like that team green bean. And I'll look at Ben's, and I'll hop in another, then look at the rest. Um, so Oh, I'll go through this real quick. I was mostly just looking for playoff matchups from the one spot. Yeah, I think you did good because you got both your guys week 17 correlation. So yeah, I think you did good with that. I mean, obviously Brashard Smith is a little bit of a skinny on the Denver, but with the KC guys, I don't think you're really in a good spot to get a lot of KC guys at one. So I think you did really well. And then you got Montgomery, who's a good piece with your Minnesota. So I think that feels really good. Um, Ben, this shit's gonna fill by tomorrow night. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'll probably fill tomorrow. Maybe it lingers into Tuesday a little, but it's gonna be close. Who wins? Ben Haskell for sure. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Sean Mitchell going to fill in 6 to 8 hours. I think it'll last till tomorrow, but that wouldn't be too shocking. It's really speeding up. Hours, yeah. Uh, Mr. Grapefruit, Houston LAC in the one spot seems there. Um, Houston LAC in the one spot. Did you get Houston LAC stacked? Uh, no, I don't think Green Bean did. Oh, like you could build that one out. Yeah, yeah, because you get like Higgins, Harris, something like that. I think I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, you could definitely build that one out there too. That's definitely a good play sometimes. I think how Green Bean built it, that felt pretty good and got some correlation. Uh, It could, Sean. It could. Yeah, it could fill tonight. Aside from McConkey, yeah, McConkey you can't really get at one, but the other guys, I definitely see what you're saying because you get Hampton too a lot of times. You could definitely build out that game. Green thanks, dude. Oh yeah, no problem, dude. All right, so I'm gonna go over Ben's quick, and then I will enter another draft. So Joe Burrow, Tua, Richardson, that feels like a really strong QB room. Feels really good overall. Saquon Cook, ETN, Eckler, Lloyd. Yeah, I think that feels really good because ETN, like, I'm not super high on ETN, but I think where he goes, it's a good bet that he can take over that backfield. And then obviously have Saquon and Cook at the top. So that feels really strong with those two. I think the RB room's solid overall. I think you spent capital in the right ways. You got some value on Eckler. I really like Lloyd. I like Eckler a lot too. So I think that's a really good way to play it. I think strong RB room at receiver. So you got T, Tyreek, and AD Mitchell all stacked up with your QBs. And then you got Jameson, Jerry Judy, Luther Burden, Jack Besh, Amari Cooper. Um, yeah, I feel like that's a solid wide receiver room too, because I think Judy's a little undervalued and you got value on him with that. And then you got Burden and Besh kind of as more upside plays. And then Cooper late, he could just be a good value. He signed somewhere, he's moving up. So I don't hate that pick at all. I'm not picking a ton of Cooper, but just because it's a little risky. But if he signs, he's moving up. So I think that's a good pick. John, also stacked with your Tyreek and Tua. Right, right. So I like that. And then I think with John and Goddard, you're fine stopping at 2 there. So, yeah, I mean, I think really solid team overall. You don't really have any weak points on it. So I think, yeah, really solid team. You got good stacks. You got a little bit of week 17 with ETN at Indy. You kind of built that out a little bit later. So, yeah, I mean, that feels like a really solid team overall. Um, so I'm going to hop into the draft. I'll count it down though. Um, let me just check chat real quick. Uh, I'm sure I've built that Houston LAC from one spot plenty of times. Got to mix it up and keep these guys on their toes. Yo, yeah, definitely, definitely. And when you take Jefferson at one, you're making a bigger bet on him. So I think building out that game is the perfect way to play it because you're taking him over where he normally goes. So you want to really buy into that bet that you're making. So I think that was a really good way to play it. And you built out that Minnesota Detroit game really well. You built out your other stack really well. Okay, I'll boogies in. So I'll count out quick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 20-second puppy. I'm in. Okay, waiting. So it filled. So hopefully you guys pretty much all got in. Let's see quick and I'll go back. All right, cool. It looks like a bunch of you got in. I'll look at that in just a second. I'll finish reviewing those other two real quick. Um, Okay, so I looked at Green Bean, I looked at Ben Haskell. Let's see how Al Boogie landed the plane. So you got Lamar and Herbert. That feels really solid. I think yeah, definitely stop at two QBs with that. You even got a good value on Herbert too. So that feels super solid QB. You got Gibbs, Tony Pollard, Charbonnet, Rashad White, Rico, and Keaton Missile. Keaton Missile really ties the room together. Love that pick. No, I'm high on Keaton Mitchell, but I think overall at that RB room, like that's a really great way to play it. You got your stud RB round one, and then you grab Pollard. So, two really consistent guys. You got some contingent upside in Charbonnet and Rashad White. They'll also mix in some. So I think, and then Dowdle, you got contingent upside. Maybe he mixes in some as well. So I think that's a really solid RB room. You got Ladd and Zay stacked up. You got Mark Andrews stacked up. Um, so I think so you got and then you have a lot of week 17 also because you got Higgins, Knoll, Dontavion Wicks. So I think that's a really solid receiver room. I'm just gonna pull up that other one on my phone just to make sure I don't miss it while I'm looking at these teams, and then I'll switch back to the other draft right after I finish. Um, so you got Ladd, Terry, Zay Flowers, Chris Olave, Jaden Higgins, Marvin Mims, Jalen Nolan, Dontavion Wicks. Uh, that feels like a really solid receiver room. You spent a lot of capital early. You got Higgins to stack up with your Ladd, that game stacks. That feels good. And then Mims, Noel, Wicks. That feels super solid overall. And then Andrews and Henry, I think that's good stopping at two. Um, yeah, I mean, I think your team is solid, like, all around. You got a lot of stacks, a lot of week 17 correlation. That feels like a really nice team, Al Boogie. Definitely a value at his price tag. Um, okay, I just made my first pick in the other draft, and I'll go to that in just a second. Let me just look at Candyman's team quick. So you got Goff, Lawrence Young, feels good at 3 QBs. Kyron, Kamara, Cam Scadaboo, Jaden Blue, J.K. Dobbins. That feels like good RB room. You got your two guys kind of holding it down, and then you got your rookies for the big upside. And then Dobbins, hopefully he signs. He could be a really good value. And then so you had Goff, Lawrence, Young. So then you got all three of your top receivers stacked up. You got the Addison bring back, you got the Pierce bring back, you got the Horton bring back. So you got Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, Ted McMillan, Jordan Addison, Khalil Shakir, Adam Thielen, Alec Pierce, Torrey Horton. And then you got Hawkinson as a bring back as well, and Juwan Johnson. I think yeah, I mean, I think at receiver it's super solid because you went 3 in a row to start, and then you did kinda push off the last couple, but you got correlation with all of them. So that feels really nice at receiver, getting all that correlation late, and then I think starting with 3, that affords you to be able to push it a little bit more later. Um, yeah, that feels like a really nice wide receiver room. And then tight end with Hawkinson, Juwan, so kinda like a semi-elite and then kind of a punt guy. I think that's a good combo. You can stop at 2 with that for sure. Um, yeah, it feels like a really solid team overall. Tons of correlation, week 17 game stack. So, yeah, I mean, I think everyone's team in that lobby looked really good. I mean, like I said before, I think I probably got the weakest team out of everyone, to be honest. Um, all right, so Ben, puppy number 130 for me. Ben, oh man, this room might be more sick than the last room. Oh yeah, I'll look at who's in 1 second. Ben Haskell, thanks for the reviews. That was cool. Oh yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Thanks, Herman. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, no problem. Fantasy football grad, appreciate it. Fun draft. Yeah, it's a pretty fun draft. Not more for you guys, not as much for me, but no, it's fun. It's a fun time drafting with all you guys. Uh, I got a little bit locked down with Candyman. He's not in here though, so maybe I might get a decent team. Um, all right, so in this one we got Al Boogie, we got Al Boogie at 3, we got me at 5, Huhames at 6, Ben Haskell at 7. Let me make my pick real quick. Um, man, you guys are really all right. Let's try it again with the double anchor and see if this time we can do it better. Because these guys are all kind of a lower tier, so yeah. I guess we'll try it again. We'll run it back, see if this time it works out better. Doesn't feel like a great idea, but A chain with Bijan feels pretty good, so we'll see how that goes. We got I believe that's Kelly. I've seen you in a lot of the chats at 9. And then I think at 12 that's Dark Side Dev, right? So I think so yeah, we got Al Boogie at 3, me at 5, Who Ames at 6, Ben Haskell at 7. I think Kelly at 9, I think Darkside Dev at 12. And if anyone else in here, let me know. I don't think I recognize any of these other names. Um, oh, Kelly, I've been watching. Okay, yeah, yeah. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And yeah, so we got Kelly at 9 then. Um, so okay, so I started double anchor again. Uh I think at this spot of the board, it's a lot more viable than at 12 because I'm gonna get one of these top 4 receivers. So that feels pretty good there. And then in the next round, I should be able to get a decent receiver also. Um, so that feels a lot more viable than last time where I kind of got a little bit more locked out. Being in the middle of the board makes it a little easier to do a build like that. Um, we're up Tyreek here, a little bit of value. And I think maybe like a guy like Tyreek isn't a pick I'm super crazy about, but I think in a build like this where you go double anchor and I have A chain, so I have A chain and Tyreek kind of stacked up for Miami. Um, I think maybe picking a guy like Tyreek who could be more of that swing where maybe he's a huge miss, maybe he's a huge hit, it's more worthwhile on a build like this because if he is that huge hit, that can kind of give me that value that I missed out on by going double anchor. So maybe that gives me a little bit more upside and makes my team a little bit more viable if he is a hit. Where I could have went with like a Terry McLaurin or a Devontae, who I think are perfectly fine picks, but I think maybe they don't quite have the upside that Tyreek does if he's kind of back to what he was. So I think in a double anchor, taking that bigger swing can be worthwhile. Um, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe a little bit more consistent guy like a Devontae Terry would have been better, but I like taking that big swing, and I already had some Miami, so I have kind of Miami really stacked. I'll be looking a little bit at Tampa Bay players too now. So we'll see how that kind of works out. Uh, okay, Ben Haskell, yeah, that's Kelly and Dev. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I was pretty sure. Who wins? Kelly is sneaky. Yeah, yeah, kind of more of a lurker, but I mean that's fine. I think, I appreciate anyone who comes out, watches the stream, like, even whether you're in the chat, whether you're just watching, I appreciate it. Ben Haskell. Hartman taking double RB made me think of that SpongeBob meme with the bluefish, like, how many times we need to teach this lesson, old man? Well, we'll see. I think, like I was saying, where I am on the board, it's a little more viable than when I did it at 12. I think at 12, maybe it wasn't the best idea. I think here it can work out better. And Who Hames kind of got me by taking T. So it's a really big fall off at receiver once T's gone, was kind of the thing. So, I was willing to do it. And I could kind of I'm gonna grab Jameson here. I'm not super in on Hunter. I think he's an okay pick where he goes. That's fine for my bye weeks too. I think kind of same thing. Jameson, big upside swing, spike week player. It can give me some more upside going. So I like grabbing him right there. I think Hunter could have been a viable pick too. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It could be. Let me switch back to the board. Sorry. I think it could be better from this spot, but we'll see how it works out. These rooms aren't the best double anchor, but I think just like especially with Who Ames taking T Higgins, the fall off at receiver there is massive. Where those RBs are so much of a better value, I don't think passing up on it was really a good call. Even if maybe in this room you want to go a little more wide receiver heavy, I think just my spot on the board kind of made me go double RB. Haskell, LMAO, I actually think it's good. I like the Bijan A chain start. Love that you got Tyreek in the third too. Yeah, yeah, I think he goes well with A chain. Just give me that Miami bet that they're kind of back as an offense. And then Tyreek, like I was saying, he's that huge upside swing. If he doesn't hit, this team's just dead. If he does hit, maybe he gives me the value to compete with those people that took receivers earlier. Um, Mr. Grapefruit. Loading up an RB is nice because of the Higgins, Harris, Besh, Williams in the mid rounds. Oh yeah, kind of like those rookies with big upside. Yeah, yeah. And I like a lot of those mid round wide receivers. Like those guys are closer to pick 100, but I even like a lot of guys kind of in that like maybe like 60 to 80 range, like kind of when you're looking at like the Olave, Godwin, even Jawan, Jerry Judy, Jacoby, Ricky. Like, I think those guys can be pretty good picks too. Okay, so I was hoping to get Zay there. I'm gonna grab Calvin Ridley here, I think. I like the value on Mixon. I like Mixon as a pick, but I think with this start, I want to grab Ridley here. And really, he should be the consistent wide receiver one on that team. So I really like grabbing him on this build. I feel like that's a good pick. Uh, and let me get back to you guys. Green bean, LOL. Uh, Who Hames? I seen what you seen. Uh, what do you mean with the receivers falling off? Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, the T Higgins, like, it's a massive fall off after him in the second. So I think I think with that, it just kind of made me go double RB. I kind of had to. Like, I'm not gonna lose that much value just to get a receiver for structural purposes. I'm not gonna lose that much of a tier of player. It's just not worthwhile. Um, Mr. Grapefruit, Bijan, Taylor, A Chain, Chase Brown as a three-headed monster is fun. You only need to draft one more RB like a Jadon Blue at the highest. LOL. Yeah, yeah, the hyper fragile. I think the hyper fragile can definitely be a viable build. I think I think the hyperfragile can definitely be viable. I think in this room, I don't necessarily want to go 3 that soon just because I know a lot of these guys are going to grab receivers a lot. In a different room, I'm a lot more open to that, but I definitely think I could have grabbed Chase Brown there and that would have definitely been a viable build as well. Um Crossface, Yo Hartman. Hey, what's up, Crossface? Glad you stopped by. Thanks for coming in and checking it out. Um but yeah, like what you were saying with the 3 RB and then kind of going the hyper fragile can be viable. I definitely think it can. Like I could have grabbed Chase Brown there, like you were saying. Um, and then just really hammered like maybe 5, 6 straight wide receivers. Um, I think it can be a pretty viable build. I don't hate that call either. I do think in this room, these guys are gonna take wide receivers quite a bit. They're not gonna let a ton of value fall to me there. So it's a little bit harder in a room like this. But I think it's in general definitely a super viable build. And it even can be in a room like this too. So let's see. Okay, who aims grabs Burrow with his Higgins? I was hoping he would do that. So I'm gonna grab Godwin because I have the Miami bet. So I'm gonna grab Godwin as a Tampa Bay piece to go with my Miami stuff. And I think that's a pretty good pick there. I would have considered Judy for sure, Jacoby, Ricky. I like all those guys. I like the Green Bay guys. I'm probably looking at one of them my next pick. We'll see what gets back to me though. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think see that's like a decent wide receiver start given starting like double anchor because I got Hill, JMO, Ridley, Godwin, and Godwin. Obviously, I'm hoping he's like healthy, hoping he's right for week one. But I think with that, I have good capital at receiver now. I should have a pretty decent receiver room. I don't feel as locked out. I have stacks built out. I have a week 17 game stack built out. I can build out a little bit more with Detroit or Tennessee. I could build out a little bit more with Atlanta. So I think that feels pretty good as a start right now. Um, so I'll go back over here. Uh, I like those builds. Oh, the hyper fragile. Yeah, I think they can come out really nice because with you spending a lot of capital at running back, but not as many players, you can really throw volume at like receiver or tight end. And you can feel like even though you didn't spend capital at those positions, you still got a pretty strong team overall. QB is deep and so is tight end. Yeah, yeah. I like when like if I go hyper fragile, let me go back, make my pick real quick. So I could look at Diggs here. I like Golden. Um, I'm gonna grab Diggs. I don't have much Diggs, and like I said, I'm kind of getting close to the end. That also opens up May, who I really like. So I'm gonna grab Diggs, open up May. I like that play. I like Golden too. Open up Green Bay. I really like Green Bay. Um, but I don't know. I just favored Diggs a little. He seems maybe a little more secure as long as he's healthy to be the top target getter on that team. Where Golden is maybe a little riskier with me spending a little less capital at wide receiver. Oh yeah, but like you said, QB and tight end is so deep. Um, yeah, I think on a hyper fragile, I really like definitely punting tight end for sure. Maybe not grabbing my first one till like at the earliest, like Kraft and Joku range, but even punting it more doesn't feel too bad. And then I like to push like QB a little where I don't pick one until at least like the later end of that QB pocket, maybe around like 105 to like 115 range, depending what stacks I have. But yeah, I feel like you can build really good hyper fragile teams, especially kind of pushing QB and tight end to your later picks. That can definitely be a good strategy. Ben Haskell, Burrow pushers will see the pearly gates, Burrow snipers will not. Uh, that's that's pretty valid. Burrow's. I mean, sniping Burrow like it's funny. I mean, it can be kind of cool. I get like just like because it's funny, but I don't personally ever really snipe Burrow. I just don't think picking a pocket passer without his top two weapons, they're a pretty condensed offense. Like it can work out. I just think the bet's too thin to pick Burrow without either T or Chase. Like you're just giving yourself too thin of a bet. And it's like, sure, you screwed someone out of their stack, but like, what did you really get? Sure, you can grab Jasicki later, but that's too thin of a bet for me. Al Boogie says Boogie scooping again. All right, I'll check it out in just a second, Boogie. Crossface, nice pick, Al Boogie. Ben Haskell, good scoops Boogs, but not quite as filthy as last round. That was insane. Yeah, no, especially the getting Zay back. That was like a huge value to get Lamar and Zay. That's like, because that's pretty rare too. So I mean, that's a great value. Al Boogie, thanks, Crossface. Al Boogie, I know Ben. Now you guys are on to me. Yeah, we got to keep an eye on Al Boogie. Don't let him get too good of values. If the team's looking too good, if you got to sacrifice yourself to snipe them, do what you got to do. I'm gonna stay in my lane, but what you guys do, I can't control that. Um, all right, so I could look at Bijan or not Bijan, Brian Robinson here. He doesn't really have any correlation. I could look at Higgins. I don't really have any LAC. Baker's gone. So I got Brian Robinson there. And then that allows me to really punt my last two running backs or even grab another and stop at four. Kind of like that hyper fragile. They do have the same buy, which isn't great, but it's fine. It's not like a huge deal. I'm not like a huge bye week, bro. Um, so that's fine. I don't think so. Baker went already. Baker went. Uh, I'm just gonna look. I'll look at Boogie's team in a second, though. So Baker went at 83, which probably Evans, yeah, to Evans drafter, which is fine. And then you got a Mika too. Um, so that's fine. I would have grabbed Baker if he was there, but grabbing B Rob, that gives me a really solid like starting three RBs with A Chain, Bijan, B Rob. And B Rob can still hit my flex, so that feels pretty good. And I think I have good receivers. I have some good stack options coming up in a little bit. So that feels like a pretty good start. And then I'll look at let me click over here real quick. Um oh yeah, now you guys are on to me. Gotta have at least Chase Brown, in my opinion. Oh, with Burrow. Yeah, I think you can do that. He catches enough, you can do it. It's still a little thin for me, but it's viable. It's a lot more viable than just grabbing like, oh, I'm gonna get Jaceki and Yoshi Voss later. I think that can be okay, but I still don't love that bet. So let me go back to my pick real quick. Um, Not really looking at QB here. I like Pittman's value. Kelsey's an okay value. I don't really have any correlation with these guys. So I'll just grab Pittman, kind of solidify that receiver room since I didn't spend as much capital early. And then that should work out pretty good at receiver where I don't feel too behind anymore. And then I'm probably going to start looking at QB after this. So let's take a quick look at Boogie's team, see what he's been cooking. So he's got Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy at receiver. Pretty solid wide receiver room. I don't think you had to grab a receiver here. I think with those four, you feel pretty good overall. And then at RB, you got Bucky, Dave Montgomery, Jordan Mason. That feels like a perfectly good RB room too. Um, a little bit of value on Judy, a little bit on Dave Montgomery. And then you got Fields with Garrett Wilson. Right. And then you got Kittle, obviously, at tight end. But Fields with Garrett Wilson feels good. Um, yeah, I mean, I think you're building a pretty solid team overall. I mean, like I said, the last one was crazy. I mean, this is definitely a solid team too, though. I would definitely be happy with this team. You got your elite RB, kind of your anchor, and then you got two guys who should be really solid, and with the week 17 stack too between them. So yeah, that feels really good. Receiver feels solid even with only 4. Um, it feels like you have 4 solid guys. You might wanna throw a little bit of volume there, but I think that's like a really good starting 4 that you can feel comfortable with. And then Kittle, I think, is a great value where he goes. I think that's a great pick just in general. And then Fields, I think, is a great pick in general, and you got him stacked, so it feels even better. Um, 1 second. Alright. Oh, many will have to die, but it won't be me. I think you're talking about the naked burrow. Yeah. Uh, Al Boogie, naked burrow is dumb in my opinion. Naked running QBs is fine. Totally agree with that. Yeah, if they have rushing upside, you can take them naked, not really worry about it. Pocket passers, I really don't see the upside in taking them naked because their pass catchers have to hit for them to have the explosive week. Um, So yeah, I totally agree with that. Running QBs is fine. You know, you get stacks when you can, like you did Fields with Wilson, but you could take Fields naked and that feels totally fine too. Um, oh, who Hames are you stacked with Burrow? I'll look at who Hames team in a second, but he has T Higgins. So he does have Burrow stacked. So let me make my pick quick. And then I'll catch up with you guys in chat. Then I'll go back to who Hames quick. So I could look at Goff here. Um, I am actually gonna pull up a little bit Drake May with my digs because I like him a little bit better than Goff. And then this way for my next pick, it gives me the out to get either Williams or Goff if either of them makes it back. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I probably lean Goff over Williams. Okay, Williams goes to Al Boogie, probably getting the week 17 for his Jets. That makes total sense. Um, So yeah, I'll look at Huhaim's team real quick though. He did have Higgins. So Huhaim's has Jameer Gibbs, Chase Brown, Tony Pollard at running back. Feels like good running back room. You know, Gibbs in the first round feels great. Chase Brown feels good where he goes. Tony Pollard, I love Tony Pollard at his price. Like that's a great pick always. So yeah, feels real solid RB. You got T Higgins, Worthy, Addison, Downs, Keon. So then you got Burrow stacked up with your T Higgins. You got Bo Nix. Um, so you don't have a stack with Bo Nix, but you can backstack Bo Nix. So that's okay to pick him without having Sutton. But I'm interested to see kind of how you'll play that out. But I think the receiver room overall is pretty solid. I think so. You got Higgins, Worthy, Addison, Downs, Keon. It feels pretty solid overall. Maybe just a tiny bit light, but I think it's pretty solid. Ooh, Marvin Mims. I wonder if anyone wants him. Could grab Marvin Mims right here. I think I'll go grab Jared Goff. I'll get my other stack. Because I have Goff. So now I have Goff stacked with JMO. I have Drake May stacked with Diggs. Um, and let me just go back quick, and then I'll go over my team quick, and then maybe look at a couple of the other teams quick. Um, Oh, Boogie, this team definitely different from my usual builds. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, maybe because you didn't grab as much receiver firepower early. I mean, you got pretty good receiver firepower early, so I don't know, I'm kinda interested. How is that different from your regular builds? It looks pretty solid, pretty balanced overall. Um, so oh, Crossface, I see now nice stacks. Yeah, yeah, he had Higgins, so getting Burrow there was a good value stacked up. Uh, who got T? Solid scoop with Burrow, yep. Who aims? I got T Chase Brown. Oh, right, 'cause you had Chase Brown too, right? So you had the double. Right, right. I didn't even that like went right over my head for some reason. But yeah, you have the double stack with them. Ben Haskell. The many will die thing was about you saying you'll stay in your lane, but we should sacrifice ourselves to stop bugs. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm staying out of Bug's way. Like, you know, I respect what he's building, but I can't control what other people do. But it looks like Boog's already he already did it. You know, he got his field stacked. He got Kyle Williams for the week 17. So looks like he already got it kind of taken down. But you know, a lot of good teams. And I'll look at some of the other teams in just a second too. And then at the end, I'll go over them all, obviously. Uh then I'm just vibing. Always just vibing. Uh Al Boogie Jewel is not someone I normally take, but some bad person took my rice from me. Oh, who took rice? Oh, the okay, I don't know who that one is. Yeah, I mean, Rice, you never know. Like Rice can go on the turn like a lot. I mean, I'm a huge Rice fan too. If he was there at my pick, I would have snap picked Rice. But but yeah, with him, he's a guy who can definitely go early quite often. So that's not too surprising. But yeah, too bad you weren't able to get him. Um, so here I could look at my first tight end with Kincaid. Um, I don't really think I have anything with Houston or Jacksonville, so I'm not really looking at them. Yeah, I'm gonna grab Kincaid here. And then let me just look real quick at something. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, because like for Tua, the Waddle drafter's on the other side. I figured he would be just where I'm on the board, but I kind of wanted to look at that. Okay, so I went over Huhames a little bit. Let's see what Ben Haskell's doing. Let me check back on the chat real quick. Um, oh hey Steve, thanks for stopping in. Going good. How about you, brother? What up, Steve? Um, can't believe Rice is a 2-3 pick now. Yeah, I think just with him being healthy, he's gonna keep moving up. He'll probably be cemented at that 2-3 turn, if not even a little bit higher. Let me scroll on here while I catch up. Um, Ben, what the fuck? 3 QBs, lol. I'll look at Ben's team in just a second. Antwall, damn, you got all the big dogs in this draft room. Yeah, I know there's some tough rooms. I didn't expect this many people in, but I love drafting with you guys. Like I jump in stream rooms all the time on like other people's streams. So iron sharpens iron, as they say. But yeah, it's a tough room, but it's nice having everyone like drafting with me, chatting. Like it feels really good, makes it really easy to do the stream and stuff. Um, Aaron Sandy, my first BBM, I got Neighbors, Amonra, and Rice. Wow, that's a crazy build. That's a crazy start. Those like very first ones, the value you can get is crazy. Ben Haskell, I'm a dominate at QB. I'll look at your team right after this pick, Ben. Ben, many are saying Gilbert opened the third eye. Many are saying Gilbert opened the third eye. Uh, I'm I'm missing the reference. Oh, Gilbert Arenas. That's what you're talking about, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Galaxy Brain, right? That's what they say. Like, oh shit, I messed that pick up bad. I should have taken Tua. I did not take Tua. That was a mistake. That was the stream. That was the downside of streaming. The dark side of doing a stream. Normally, 100%, I would have grabbed Tua there. I have the double stack. I have the game built out. That was a horrible mistake. I'm probably not getting him back now. That was wow. That was terrible. I mean, I have Mangoff. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But like, that was a terrible play by me. Horrible fumble. Um, but all right. So Ben's team. So you got Neighbors, Lad, Terry. So great receivers to start. Terry with Jaden. That feels great. I always love getting that stack whenever you can. I think that's pretty much always the click when you can get it. Um, then you got okay, so I'll go through the receivers quick. Neighbors, Lad, Terry, Olave, Golden, Shaheed. Receiver room feels super solid, starting with 3 straight. And then you got Olave and Golden, Rashid Shaheed. Receiver room feels great. Um, at running back, you got Mixon, Najee, and Algier. So a little bit light at running back, but the receiver room is like super strong. So I can see, with that running back room, you can definitely get by with the strength of those receivers. And then you have Hawkinson at tight end. So QB, you got Jaden, Love, and McCarthy. You have Love with Golden. Uh, wait, Jaden, Love, and McCarthy. Okay, right. Because you got McCarthy with Hawkinson. So that feels right. And he took Tua there, as he should have. He had Waddle, so that makes sense. That was a bad fumble by me, to be honest. I will look at I'm gonna pull up Henry to get my stack with May to get a double with May. That feels okay. I really fumbled that Tua pick, but it's fine. I mean, I have 2 sack QBs. It's not too big of a deal. I can stop at 2 with these two QBs also. I feel fine with that. Um, yeah, but I mean, I think Ben, that's a really solid team overall. It might be a little bit heavy capital at quarterback, kind of like I think Al Boogie was saying. Um, and then running back's a little bit light. You got Eckler and Algier, who I really like his contingent plays. Najee maybe helps you early in the season, but the receiver room and the QB room are huge strengths, which should kind of carry you through. And then I like Hawkinson where he goes. You even got a little bit of value on him. That feels like a really good start too. Um, Let me see if you guys are saying anything. Oh yeah, I'm a little bit behind. Uh, oh yeah, that was a real nice build. Aaron Sandy with that first BBM. Madamini at QB. Gilbert opened the third eye. Right. Steve doing good, getting some work done. Jumping on BBG stream in an hour. Oh yeah. Steve's going on for the BBG Sunday night. Like, it's something like, it's your chance at $2 million where it's super focused, like BBM, and you guys are really gonna go through like focus in. Yeah, it's a real cool stream he's doing every Sunday. And then this week Steve's on to do a BBM with BBG. I think that's at 6 my time, so in about an hour. Let me make this pick real quick. Um, I'll grab Cam Ward because I have Ridley. That's a decent little stack there. I don't see much else I really want. That feels good. Yeah, I'm gonna grab Cam Ward with Ridley. That feels pretty good right there. And then let me catch back up with you guys. Uh, oh yeah. So Steve's gonna be on BBG stream about an hour. I think 6 my time, 6 Pacific. Arena South. Oh yeah, I got it. It took me a second. Uh, Sandy, I'm about to open my third eye and ain't on my head. There you go. Hopefully you got a female nearby. Who Hames? It's just Tua. That's true. You can't be too upset about losing Tua. I mean, I had him doubled, so it just more hurt because it was a mistake because I wasn't paying enough attention. But yeah, losing on Tua is not the end of the world. I have stacked QBs. It's not the end of the team or anything like that. Um, Tua could fall. He falls often. Oh yeah, he went to the guy with Waddle. I kind of expected him to grab him. He only had one QB, so I figured he would grab Tua. It's fine. My QBs are fine. So I should have picked him there, but it's not too big of a deal. Al Boogie. Ben turned this room into a DK draft, making QBs fly early. Yeah, maybe it was Ben's fault that I didn't get Tua. I mean, it was my fault, but we can always blame it on Ben a little for taking all the QBs early. That's a good play, Boogie. Um, Boogie, fuck my life, Ben. You made me take Trevor. Down bad, down horrendous having to take Trevor. Um, Aaron Sandy just inaugurated Barack Obama into the White House, if you know what I'm saying. I think I do understand what you're saying, brother. LMAO, LOL. Took the Browns to the Super Bowl. There you go. Who Ames? I got 2 QBs at value. Not sure what you all are talking about. Good for you, Who Ames. We can't all be as lucky as Who Ames. The board just falls right for that guy. He gets bailed out time and time again. He's actually thinking about who he's going to draft next. You just hate to see it. Just not a vibe based drafter trying to plan it, make good picks. Like I don't really get that. I just go on vibes. Pick whoever is looking good at the moment. Um, but no, I mean that worked out pretty good for Who Ames there. Uh, so I think 100% luck, no skill. I'm right there with you, brother. I feel that in my soul. Uh, all right. I think I haven't looked at Kelly or Devin's team yet. Um, I haven't seen Devin in here. I know Kelly's watching, so I'll look at Kelly's team quick for sure. Uh, so Kelly has Christian McCaffrey, RJ Harvey, DeAndre Swift, Tyrone Tracy, Roshan Johnson, Justice Hill. Um, yeah, I mean, that's a really solid RB room. You got 3 starters. You got a good value on Harvey, Swift at a fair price. And then Tyrone Tracy had a good price too. And then Roshan and Hill, I think, are good picks just as contingent guys. Roshan could kind of mix in. Roshan and Swift on a team is a little bit interesting. I think maybe with the improved offense, improved O line, it's not the worst bet, especially with Swift being a little bit lower capital player. Um, I generally don't handcuff, but I think with how your build kind of came out, it's definitely viable. I don't hate that pick at all. So strong RB room. A receiver, you got London, Devontae, DJ Moore, Jawan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, Quentin Johnston. So that feels pretty good at receiver. You got London, Adams, Moore early. You got Jawan, Mooney. Yeah, no, that's strong because your first 5 are pretty strong, pretty early picks. So I think that's pretty strong at receiver. and then you got Purdy stacked up with Jennings and McCaffrey, and then you had the more bring back, right? Um, I'm going to grab Lockett here, or I could look at Neal. I'm actually going to grab Neal for a bring back piece, and then that gives me a fifth RB, so I can kind of shut it down at RB there. And then like Lockett or Aomanor, I can look at, but like even if I lose out on him, I have Ridley. I'm good. It's fine if I don't get one of those guys. I don't really. It's not too big of a downer. So looking back at Kelly's team quick, so you had Purdy and Penix, and then you had London and Mooney, and you have Jawan, and then you have Devontae with your Atlanta, and then right DJ Moore with your SF, and then you had McCaffrey also with Purdy. So yeah, that feels like a really solid team, super correlated for Week 17. That feels like a really solid squad so far. So let me scroll back down. Aaron Sandy, what are the odds Dobbin goes to the Bears or stays a Charger? I mean, I think like I would personally think that the odds are decent that he signs to somewhere where he can play, right? Because Dobbins is only 26 years old, and I wouldn't and he took a very low contract to go to the Chargers last year. I think there were some rumors he was actually offered a little bit more by some other teams, but maybe with not as much of a chance to play. So I think he's the type of guy who would heavily favor a team where he has a chance to play. I think if he has no options, he'll go back to the Chargers. And I think he has to decide. I think it was like July 22nd is when that tender expires. So he'd either have to sign it or leave. Um, but I think he would heavily favor going to a team where he has a chance to play. You hope it's the Bears or Cowboys, but even if not, a team where he has a chance. He's only 26. I'm sure he wants a chance at a role. Um, Let me get so I'm just gonna grab Io Manor. That's a double stack with Ridley and Io Manor. So that feels pretty good overall. And then let me just catch up and then I'll go over my team and I'll go over some of the other teams like fully quick. Um Kelly, you guys are so kind. Oh yeah, no, I mean Kelly, your team looked really strong. You did really good like correlating the week 17 and you had good stacks. So I mean, it was a really strong team. It was easy to be kind to. Uh Ben Haskell, Chubb to the Bears. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool too, actually. Chubb to the Bears, Dobbins to the Cowboys. Who says no? Um, so Meat Gazer, what's up, Hartman? Thanks for stopping by, Meat Gazer. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Um, so I don't know. I'm thinking I could run another, or I might hop off. I don't know if you guys want to run another or not, but let me know in the chat, and then I'll go over my team and the other teams quick either way. But if you guys want to run another, I'm down to run another. I think we got time, and then I'll hop off like after that. So that'll be about when BBG stream starts. So that'll work out pretty good. But yeah, let me know. Um, all right, so I'll go over my team quick and then the other ones. So I got May, Goff, Cam Ward at quarterback. Got a little bit of value on Ward, a little bit of value on Goff. I did take May a little early, but I kind of flipped where May and Goff go, but that's fine. I kind of knew Goff had a better chance of making it back because Cal Williams was still available when I took May. So I felt like Goff had a better chance of making it around. I feel super good with that quarterback room. RB, I got Bijan, A-Chain, Robinson, Ray Davis, Devin Neal. That feels good because I got my double anchor. I got another projected starter, and I just got two like contingent bet guys. And then Neal is like a little game stack with my Tennessee, so that feels pretty good. RB feels pretty good overall. And then at receiver, I got Hill, Jameson, Ridley, Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman, Alec Manor. That feels pretty good at receiver given the double anchor. Like I feel a lot better with this receiver room than the last, and a lot better with this team overall than my last. Um, I think it could be a little bit risky because right, I got two injured guys with Godwin and Diggs who are a little bit older, injured. But I think it has good upside. And Hill, right, he's risky too. So I think I had to bake in some risk to get that upside, and it gives me a little risky build. Like there's a chance this team is kind of dead, like right out the gates. But if those guys hit or even two out of the three hit, then I think this team could be very strong, even with me not spending that early capital at receiver. Just with kind of the players I took. Um, and that tight end, I got Kincaid, Henry, Mason Taylor. And then Henry gives me that double stack with May. Taylor's kind of my bring back on that game. I feel good with a tight end room like that. Not in a full punt, but it feels pretty good overall. Like Kincaid's a little bit earlier than full punt, but kind of a punt tight end room. I feel pretty good with those three. Um, all right, so I'll go over some of the other teams quick. Let me just check back on the chat real quick. Um, the Bears, what up, Hartman? Ben, you're out of the circle of trust after what you did to me. All right, Al Boogie, run another count way slower so Ben jumps in early. All right, all right, Al Boogie, you got it. Uh, I'll I'll look at Al Boogie's team, then I'll look at Ben's team and see what Ben did to him. All right, so I'll try to be pretty quick with these this time. And I was kind of looking at them through the draft too. So Al Boogie's got Fields, Lawrence, Jackson, Dart. That feels perfectly fine at QB. Hopefully you got them stacked up. So you got okay, so you don't have a Giants player, which is kind of interesting to grab Dart. I mean, I think he has rushing upside, so it's okay. I'm a little bit interested to know, like, if you just felt maybe a little bit locked out, so you want a guy with some upside. I think he could have stopped with Fields and Lawrence. That would have been okay. But so you have Fields and Lawrence, and you have Garrett Wilson and Parker Washington. So you kind of backstacked Lawrence. So maybe you got a little bit locked out at QB. That kind of makes sense. Um, and then so I think QB room solid. You got Bucky, Montgomery, Jordan Mason, Ramondre, Isaac Grendo. That feels like a solid RB room. You got two like Montgomery is not the main starter, but he gets enough work that he's basically a starter, like starter level production. And then Mason gives you good upside. Ramondre should help you out early in the season. Maybe he keeps a roll throughout the season. Hopefully the offense improves. Grendo's good contingent upsides. I think the RB room's solid. Um, it's solid overall. You got Bucky early, so he's kind of your hero. Uh, and then at receiver, you got Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Sutton, Jerry Judy, Kyle Williams, Romeo Dobbs, Michael Wilson, Parker Washington. I think that's solid overall. The early four make it strong enough so that you could wait a little bit on the other guys. And then you got, and right, you got Kittle, and then you got Jasecki. So that's good at tight end to stop at two. Um, I think overall this team is pretty well balanced, pretty strong. Maybe you're hoping you could have got like you have Kyle Williams as a bring back on your Jets. Maybe you're hoping you could have got a little more correlation. Um, but I think you don't really have any super strong weaknesses, and I think it's a solid team overall. Um, yeah, because those early receivers kind of let you, wait a little bit on the next four, and then you did get eight, so that's a good amount of volume. And then good tight end, good at running back, pretty good at QB too. So I'll look at Ben and then I'll go back to Who Ames to see what Ben did to Al Boogie. So, and Al Boogie had Jets, Jacksonville, Giants, and then he had Minnesota, Denver, Cleveland, New England, Arizona. All right, so let's see what Ben Haskell did to you. So Ben Haskell has Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, JJ McCarthy, crazy QB room, probably the strongest in this whole draft. I mean, insane QB room. And then you got Mixon, Najee, Algier, Austin Eckler, Marshawn Lloyd, Nick Chubb. I think at RB, you're a little bit light, but Eckler should provide some points. Najee should give you some work. Mixon's kind of like your hero RB. You're hoping he stays healthy all year. It's maybe a little light, but I think all your kind of contingent guys right here, like Najee, Algier, Eckler. Najee's not really a contingent guy. He's more like a share time guy. But Algier and Eckler, they're contingent, but they also work in enough that they can hit your lineup without an injury. And then Lloyd and Chubb, you're hoping he signs. And a pick like that, I think is good on this build where you kind of want lighter at RB. Because if he does sign, then maybe you got some more value, so it affords you to go lighter at RB. And Lloyd, just a good contingent bet. So I think decent at RB, maybe a little bit light, but let's see what the rest of the team looks like. So you got Neighbors, Ladd, Terry, Olave, Golden, Rashid Shaheed, Dontavion Wicks. So I mean, super strong receiver room, like crazy strong receivers. You got the Green Bay double. You had Hawkinson with your McCarthy, Terry with Jaden, Ertz with Jaden. So yeah, I mean, I think you got good stacks. Receivers are super strong. Hawkinson and Ertz is perfectly fine to stop at two. So I think that's a really solid build overall. I think maybe you didn't need and so Al Boogie had Jefferson, right? Is that what it was? Yeah, Al Boogie had Jefferson. You took McCarthy. You took McCarthy with just Hawkinson as a third QB. That was pretty funny actually. Um, but yeah, I think super strong receiver room, good tight end room. Obviously, QB's mega strength. RB is just a little light, but all your other positions are strong, so it's perfectly viable. Um, yeah, I mean, good build overall. I kind of wondered, did you get McCarthy mainly to snipe Boogie? Like, um, oh, okay, and then okay, and then Dark Side Dev's in here. I'll check out your team in just a second. Ben Haskell, jokes on you, Boog. I'll join in 5 rooms now. What up, Dev? Uh, thank you. Appreciate the review. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, of course. Ben Haskell, haha, Def could have passed on JJMC, but I panic clicked. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, you did have him stacked with Hawkinson. I think that's a fine stack to, have. Uh, took my JJ 25 spots early, McCarthy. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he got you on that one. See? We got Boogie. We got Boogie locked down. So it worked out pretty good then. Um, so I gotta look at Whohames, Whohames, Kelly, and Darkside Dev. I'll look at their teams. After I look at Whohames, I'll count it down and jump in, and then I'll look at Kelly and Dev while it's filling. So that'll work out pretty good timing wise, probably. Uh, so Whohames got Joe Burrow, Bo Nix, Danny Dimes, and then so good or good QB room. Could have stopped at 2. Let's see if you have any indie here. So you have Josh Downs. See, I think grabbing Danny Dimes and you have Giddens. I think grabbing Danny Dimes is fine there. You could have stopped at 2, but it's perfectly fine to put a third one on just for some upside. So that's perfectly fine there. At RB, you got Gibbs, Brown, Pollard, Benson, Giddens. Yeah, I really like building it like that. You kind of got your double anchor, and then you got another real consistent guy, and then you just pick 2 more contingent bets. So I think that's a great way to build RB rooms in general. So RB looks super solid. And then obviously Brown and Giddens are stacked with your QBs. And that receiver, you got T Worthy. So you got the week 17 game stack with those 2 guys. You got Addison Downs, Keon Coleman, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant. And then you have Mims, Downs, T stacked. And then none of your tight ends stacked, but you have the game stack with Indy with Brenton Strange. So I feel like at receiver, I think you're pretty solid overall. It is maybe a little bit on the lighter side, but it's strong at RB, strong at QB, and strong at tight end with these 3. So I think the receiver room is a tiny bit light, but I think when you grab those 2 RBs early, that's a sacrifice you make. I think for grabbing those 2 RBs early. Oh, and Pat Bryant sack too. I guess I didn't see the little highlight thing. So yes, you got Denver double stacked. So yeah, I mean, I think the receiver room feels like good enough given the RB build, and then you're pretty strong at every other position. So I think that's a strong team overall. Um, all right. And jump in now. Let us know when it filled. You already did mine. Okay. I'll just go over it real quick because I didn't see your last couple, but I'll just go through that one quickly. Ben Haskell, no way, Jose. I'm already in Who's stream room right now. I'm gonna join Hartman's too though. LOL. Our room filled. Sorry. Oh, is Whohaim streaming too? Oh, I didn't realize Whohaim's fired it up too. That's that's kind of my bad. Well, I guess I mean Whohaim just started. Uh maybe I'll maybe just go over the rest of the teams and end it then. I've already been on for a couple hours. So go over to Whohaim's stream after this. I'll drop the link. I think all you guys are subscribed to Whohaim's anyway, but I'll drop the link. I didn't know he went live too. Um so let me pull up his stream real quick and then copy that. All right. Sounds good. Great stream. Thanks, Al Boogie. And I appreciate all you guys stopping by. It really makes it a lot easier just being able to talk with you guys. Like, I don't know, it just makes it a lot easier to stream, kind of. I was on here for like over 2 hours and didn't even really feel like it. So thank you guys all for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna go over Kelly and Darkside Devs teams real quick, but if you guys want to jump right over to Whohaim stream, that's fine. I'll be in his chat in just a second anyway. Uh But yeah, let me just go over Kelly and Dev's on here, and then I'm probably gonna head off, and I'm actually just gonna jump into his chat too. Um, oh, sorry, it didn't refresh. Oh, and that link I drop is to Huhaim stream. So if you guys want to go over to his stream, then go for it. Uh, oh, thanks, Candyman. Uh, yeah, I should have kept my mouth shut. Oh, oh no, it's fine. I've been on for a while, so it's better just to go over to Huhaim's. Um, great stream, Hartman. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Ben. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by, Fantasy Football Garage, Candyman. Um, Kelly, great spending some time with you today. Hey, thanks. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, all you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm just gonna go over real quick, Kelly and Dev's team, and then I'm gonna hop off. So Kelly ended up with Brock Purdy, Penix, feels good at QB. You can definitely stop at 2 with that. RB, you got McCaffrey, Harvey, DeAndre Swift, Tracy, Roshan, Hill, Jordan James. Yeah, I mean, that feels real strong at RB. I think just with these top 3 and then Tyron Tracy had a decent value. Like, you're feeling really strong at RB. You got that stack with Chicago, like with Roshan and Swift with your SF. That feels really good. James is just some contingent, which in the very last round, I don't mind that. I do agree with the idea in general. You don't totally handcuff your guys, but as a very last round pick, I don't hate it, especially if you feel good at your other positions. Um, at receiver, you got London stacked, you got Adam as bring back, and you got Mooney stacked, both of Atlanta, and then you got the Rams bring back, or Rams bring back. And then you got Juwan, McCaffrey, Jordan James with your Purdy with the DJ Moore bring back. So that all feels really good, super correlated with your first 5 receivers, which is really great when you get all of them correlated to 2 games and you have those games all stacked out. That feels great. And then you got QJ and Lockett, just kind of later guys, give you some upside. I think those picks are fine where you got them too. And then Njoku Otten, maybe just a tiny bit light because you did have 2 week 9 buys, but I think that's fine. And I think at receiver, RB, and QB, your team is strong, very strong at RB, pretty strong at receiver, and definitely like good enough to stop at 2 at QB. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think really strong team overall, though, definitely. And then I'll go over Dark Side Devs real quick. Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young at QB. Um, I think that's totally fine. You got kind of a later guy. You got Hurts, who's like an elite. Got him at 60, so that's a really good value. You got Trevion, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne, Javante, Rico Dowdle, Taj Brooks. That feels good at that feels pretty good at RB. Trevion, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, Etienne, and then Javante too. Yeah, I mean, that feels pretty strong at RB overall. Like, I I'm not super in on ETN or Javante, but I think like where they go and how you kind of built it, they feel perfectly fine in this build. Um, and then at QB, so you had Bryce Young and Hurts, BTJ, AJ Brown, Ted McMillan, Devontae Smith. So you got the Hurts double stack. You got De'Ami Brown, Jalen Coker, Jimmy Horn. So you got a triple stack with your oh, and you got a triple stack on both because you got Dallas Goddard. You got triple stacked Eagles, triple stacked Carolina. I mean, I think Jimmy Horn, if you want to throw him in at the end occasionally, I think that's perfectly fine. He's a rookie, he could have some upside. But yeah, getting both your guys triple stacked, and I feel like this receiver room, you went 4 straight to start. Really solid receiver room, a lot of correlation, a lot of team stacks. A solid tight end room, definitely stop at 2 with that. So yeah, I think that was a solid team. I think all teams in this room were pretty solid overall. But yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. It was great, like, chatting with you, being able to draft with all you guys. You guys made me pay a little in some of the drafts, but it was a real fun time. Thank you guys for stopping by. I'm gonna do a lot more streams this summer, so like, subscribe. I'll be back a lot more. But yeah, thank you guys again for stopping by. Great spending time with you today, Kelly. Great stream. This is a great best ball summer, Dark Side Dev. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, and it's gonna be long summer, a lot of streams, a lot of great streamers out there. Candyman, Fantasy Football Garage's channel, Who Hames. I'm sure all you guys are subscribed. I mean, I recognize all you guys. Steve, he's on the Fan Speak Network. Best Ball guy stopped in here earlier. Tyler from Fantasy Sanctuary, Emo Cowboy stopped in earlier. PPR Tyler was shouting me out a lot on his channel. That was, I really appreciate that. Sean Mitchell, he has a good stream too. Extend the drive. So yeah, there's a lot of good streamers. It's gonna be a long summer. Lots of streams to catch. I'll be streaming quite a bit. Best Ball on Call too. He has a good channel. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And hop over to Who stream. I linked in the chat. But peace out, guys. See you soon.